Live, episode 100. Woo!
New intro.
Woo!
I was kind of hoping just Bear was the only one that was going to make any noise, and we were just going to sit there like nonchalant.
No, we got to be a little hyped for episode 100, Matt.
Episode 100.
100.
Only like 14 series have made it to this point so far.
Right.
So this is a milestone.
How many
One of them
series,
is Isaac.
I was actually just thinking that. How many series on your channels do you think have gone over 100 episodes? I think like maybe 3 for me.
Isaac, like 8 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like original, Rebirth, Afterbirth, and Afterbirth Plus. Maybe Anti-Birth, I can't remember. Battlegrounds, Ultimate Chicken Horse. We were in the 90s.
man.
Really
Yeah, you went for a
close.
while there.
We were really
like-
close.
We were up there.
You know,
I think we're
Mathis,
80s, 90s, something like that.
you and I probably did upwards of 100 plus Don't Starve episodes together, don't you think?
Yeah, I easily Don't Starve. At least for me, culminating all of the Don't Starve. But I think our multiplayer alone, because we did like 2 seasons of that, and they both hit close to like 50 episodes.
was
Don't
wild.
Starve, Project Zomboid a few times over for me. Isaac a few times.
Indie Impressions
Indie
had
Impressions,
1,000
right,
something.
yeah.
You had indie impressions.
You got the 10 times platinum label on the indie impressions over there.
I got really close on Terraria. I think I was like 86 or something like that. Maybe if you count the live stream stuff, it might have gone over. I usually don't tend to go over 100, I've noticed, though.
It's a tough
get
number
bored
to
of
hit,
stuff
which,
fast.
you know what? Kudos to us, right? Well done, team. We did it. We did it. Big hype to the creators of the new introduction. Indie Mouse, thank you very much for the new animation. It is pretty freaking incredible. We really appreciate that. Along with the new music, courtesy of Keith Woods, who created our original theme song as well. If you want to contact him, go on over to soundcloud.com/rcstudio or at risen_LP on Twitter. He is the guy to go to. Thank you very much, Keith, for that. We
thank you,
appreciate it.
Keith.
It's awesome.
Man, what a run, huh? Here we go. Episode 100. Same show. Let's do it. Docket today. We're going to do a PAX West recap. 2017 PAX West is concluded. We're going to talk a little bit about what we saw at the show. Humble has raised $100 million for charity. That's crazy. We just want to give
Big
him a
deal.
shout out for the most part.
Oh, is that all? That's very impressive.
Nintendo Direct comes with a few announcements here. We'll talk about what we saw there. Nintendo's also planning some new things with the mini SNES and NES. We'll talk about that too. Telltale makes a new hire, maybe signaling a new direction for that company. And then we got a bunch of games to talk about on the docket today. We're going to start off with the Eyes of Ara, which is an interesting 3D adventure game from last year that apparently was very, very good that we all missed out on. GORN, the new VR game published by Devolver Digital, made from the creators of Broforce, which I am loving right now. Rock of Ages 2, Bigger and Bolder. We'll talk about that, along with Lichtspeer. We're talking about a lot of... 2 is a weird theme on today's show, weirdly enough. But yeah, Lichtspeer, the co-op mode for 2 players. Maize, going to be on the docket today as well. A very interesting game. Came out at the end of 2016. And then Divinity Original Sin 2. Yeah, yes.
It's odd.
The first time I almost played this, honestly, when it came out originally. But I am very excited to hear.
Got infinity tweets from one individual.
Yeah?
Because we made a joke about Maize on the NLSS.
Oh, right.
One dude made it his personal mission to tweet me like 8 times a day. That was the exact same tweet that was like, hey, did you know Maize is out on Steam and it's 30% off this week? If you're watching this, dude, I muted your ass. I gave you a lot of rope. I waited until I got like 80 tweets that all said the same thing, and I was like, this is outrageous.
I can tell this. I can tell this has been eating away at you for a while. You gotta come
I had
clean on
intended
this.
to play it since it came out, and I only just the other day was in one of those places where I was like, I don't know what to play. Okay, let's play something off the old list. Maze. There it is.
I'm excited.
And anyway,
man.
we'll get into it.
I need to hear about this one. Divinity Original Sin 2 just released this week. Mathis and Ryan have delved into it, and we'll talk about it today, along with Cook Serve Delicious 2, also on the docket. But let's start off with PAX West 2017. The show is over, has concluded, and we're going to talk about it. Ryan, please tell me of your favorite PAX West games that you saw this year.
I'm going to give you some rapid fire stuff because otherwise we could be here for a long
Hit
time.
me.
Did you play Think of the Children?
No, I did not.
Think of the Children is Overcooked in that it's a local but also online multiplayer game, and you and all the other players play as parents who are administering, standard domestic events like a barbecue, or you're taking your kids to the beach or the grocery store. You've got objectives like, set up the beach towels, or here's your grocery list, buy all these items, but your kids are trying to accidentally murder themselves the whole time. So they're like on the beach, they're like swimming out into, low tide and then getting swept away, and seagulls are coming down and trying to feast on them if they stay still too long. So you got to like do multiple objectives. You got to like try to accomplish your list, and then also like, oh, that kid's about to like step on the barbecue and immolate himself, so you got to go grab him, and then at the end of it you get like a report card with all the people that are still left alive. And it seems really, really cool, and also working online. So I'm like,
nice.
I'm into that. That was a cool game. It wasn't quite like as elegant as Overcooked. Overcooked, I think, is like one of the tightest design games I've played in a long, long time. But it was still fun. It was like, who's your daddy, but not
the budget.
Yes, not like super broken. And I think like the beta starts like this week or something. So we might get a chance to check that out.
Let me bounce back and forth with you here. We'll go.
I was thinking the same
back to
thing.
back.
Yeah.
So we went to that little indie mixer. I think it was literally called the Mixer. Actually,
The Mix.
Yeah, that's right. We checked out a few games there. We found one that might be potentially a good NLSS/multiplayer game for a lot of us. Guilt Battle Arena. I don't know if you saw it.
I played that as well.
Did you? Okay, yeah. So what'd you think about that one?
Wait, did I play that, or did Corey just give me the business card?
He might have, yeah. So he was with us actually, I think, when we were playing it. So he might have just told you about it. But yeah, it's a super contained multiplayer shooter game where you've only got like one screen worth of space to move within, and all four characters are all playing within that space. Let me go ahead and get this video up so folks can understand what I'm talking about here. But yeah. So you got four different color characters, kind of like Castle Crasher style, and then you're all shooting at each other with these little pellet guns that only have one bullet. So you actually have to like shoot your bullet, and if you miss, then you have to go collect your bullet before you can shoot again, all within this super contained space. So it
sounds like Towerfall.
I never actually
sort of.
I never played Towerfall. What is like the gist of Towerfall? If you can quickly sum it up for me.
You have
4
like
players. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, okay. You have like 3 ammo, I think, when you start. So you have to once you get rid of it all, you have to collect your arrows. They kind of get like stuck in the terrain. Apart from that, it's very similar, like single screen kind of like aerial deathmatch. One hit, you die.
Got it. Okay.
This is like Titan Souls multiplayer top down.
Yeah, that's
There
a
you
really
go.
good way to describe it, actually.
But yeah, this is kind of similar to that. Then that it's got that kind of similar mechanic to it, but there's not a ton of variety to it at the moment. Like it's more or less just do that crazy frantic shooting and collecting your bullet to different themes. Like one is like a Juggernaut theme, one's like a King of the Kill theme or something like that. So, well, not King of the Kill, obviously, King of the Hill, but. Yeah, it's got some potential, I'd say. I think it may wear out its welcome pretty quick. Like I said, it needs a little bit more variety, but it was fun the little bit that we played of it. What do you got?
We played Mother Gunship, which I guess we should disclose. We had Joe, who is the lead developer on the podcast, to talk about it. So we might be a little bit biased there, but we played it, and I was like, this is actually a standout in the mega booth this year. It was like Tower of Guns. Everything looks better. Everything sounds better. And then it's wrapped in this extra little conceit, which is you pick up gun parts that you can use to construct your own weapon as the game goes on. And you can get the way that the developer was set up, or the demo was set up, I should say, is that you had like unlimited parts. So we created some like garbage guns that was like a gun you hold out like this and then just has like 20 barrels stacked on top of it. And you get like a grenade that only shoots up out of the top because of the way the Lego pieces fit together. It was trash. And also like the way that it works is like the more parts that you stack up and the more barrels you attach, the less you get to fire the gun before it cools, or it gets too hot and then it has to cool down for a bit. Right. So it kind of has like a minigun mechanic with it.
Yeah.
So you could have like one gun, it just shoots its entire wad, and then you have to wait like 3 seconds to fire it again. And it's got like dual wielding as well. So like you can have one gun in your left that you've constructed, one gun in your right, with different goals and stuff. It was really cool, and I had a great time playing that.
I hope it has Quake-style multiplayer, because that would be hilarious, seeing people fighting with their crappy guns that are like kind of messed up.
For sure. Oh, goodness, that's the intro. Nope, sorry. Yeah. We checked out another kind of interesting potential multiplayer game called, what was this? I got the business card right here, actually. I can remember it. Sausage Sports Club. That's what it was.
Oh, I have that.
You have that?
Yeah. They sent me a beta build of it like 6 months ago.
Huh.
I didn't have online, though, so I was like, okay, I can't really do anything with this.
Okay, so yeah, this has apparently been in development for a little while here. But yeah, we checked it out at the Mix again. It reminds me a little bit of that Party Panic game that y'all checked out recently.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. It's got some really interesting and clever ideas, and just like the presentation of it is also just totally ridiculous and appealing. It's all these like wiener dogs and weird looking animals that have been kind of turned into schlongs, for lack of a more elegant definition. And it's adorable, and I like the presentation, but the gameplay is a little wonky. Like, the controls don't really feel right when you're moving around. I don't know if this is by design. I think it kind of is, because you're kind of wobbling around, you're a little top heavy, and it's kind of difficult to actually control where you're going. But the games sort of require a level of precision that is a bit impossible to utilize in this game, like, so you've got, like, on screen right now there's a game going on where you're pushing each other into spikes and stuff, and you're trying to ram other players into the walls, and that's very difficult to do because you can't really, like, build momentum very well. You're just sort of wobbling around like what's the game, fucking the weird soccer game, goofball goal style, right? So it's I don't know, man. Like, I wanted to like it really bad, but the more I played it, the more I was just getting a little bit more frustrated with the controls and trying to do anything. So it was...
Dude, I also have this problem every PAX where you're rolling in a group of like 2 to 4 people. So you gravitate towards all this multiplayer stuff, and then you come back and you're like, oh, this was really fun. This was really fun. This was really fun. And then none of it ever comes out with online multiplayer, and you're just like like, PAX is an event we go to, and we like play local multiplayer games for 15 minutes each, and then never touch them again over the rest of our lives, it seems.
Well, what was the next local multiplayer game that you checked out at PAX?
Well, I was gonna talk like real quick about Piku Niku, which is like...
Okay, I saw that actually, yeah.
Dude, it had like the coolest setup with that big like screen and the pink booth, but we Nick and I played this game called Ibn Ab way back in the day, which is kind of like yeah. It's kind of similar to that in that it's a physics-based co-op. I don't know if it's online, but co-op platformer where you got to solve like these really simple physics problems, but you sort of don't move quite the way that you want to move. So you end up like, all you can do is walk and then like get big, get small, and kick. So you end up with these situations where you got to like take a ball and kick it over to a switch, but instead you kick your friend a lot. And even though the task is relatively simple, it's difficult to accomplish, and you accidentally like, get in each other's way as you play it. But it was a lot of fun, and it's very charming, and the graphic style was really cute as well. And I worry that they're going to get sued because there was like a car driving section, and when you honk the horn, the first time you honk it, you're like, that's a horn. The second time you honk it, you realize it's going... and yeah, I'm like, hopefully, EMI Records doesn't get wind of that. Right. But that was, Chet's right. It's like a little bit like Snipper Clips.
That was what I was thinking for sure too when I saw this.
Yeah, kind of like a low res Snipper Clips.
Yeah. I'm loving the influx of these sorts of games. These are perfect for Elise and I to sit down and either make videos of or just goof around with, so I'm totally on board with this.
And this seemed like an ideal Switch game. You need like the D-pad and one button. So
nice. There you go. Let me think here. I looked at I think I told you guys about this briefly, but it was just a really interesting concept to me. There's this game called Trains VR. I don't know if they've even actually got like a website or anything, but I really like the idea of it. Was like you build these train tracks to cover this area, and there's like a puzzle built into it. So you get this first-person perspective, obviously, because it's in VR, and you can look around the map from like a top-down view, or you can look like from within the train itself, so you can see around like what's actually going on in front of you. And you just like build tracks out and solve puzzles. And it was a really simple idea, but I like seeing that kind of unique idea and execution in VR. It was pretty neat.
Dude, they have to change the name.
The name of the name of the game is terrible.
It fails the volume test.
Yeah. The immediate thing that comes to mind when I hear trains VR is, do I get to sit in a train and ride public transportation all day in like VR?
Yay!
Like a relaxing thing?
Right.
Because I would bet something like that must exist for VR.
Probably.
You can't search for it either.
Yeah, no, it's
when
impossible.
I search for trains VR, it gives me like, there's apparently a Finnish railway called VR, and then like it fills up like the entire first page of search results.
I was trying to find the name of another railroad game that I had played recently, and it's like a wooden toy train game. And I was searching for that. I couldn't find the name of that either.
Nah, man.
All these train games are gonna come up with something else.
Yeah.
That's just a challenge you set on yourself. You take Trains VR as your name, and you got to overcome the SEO.
Hardcore game dev.
That's what I did with Judge Mathis on YouTube, and I'm slowly overtaking him. So,
I empathize with that. I've slowly begun to plant the seed of misspelling bear in the minds of children across the country.
Right.
So that feels good.
Oh, mine is called Tracks, the train set game.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Is it like TRAXX, like Bubba Sparks?
TRACKS, the train set game. I found it on Steam because Google isn't Steam.
I don't want to just go down the list of like everything that we played, but
sure.
the standout, and like almost everyone who played it agreed, was Monster Hunter World, which was like Monster Hunter Worlds, I should say. Worlds? I think
it's World. I'm pretty sure it's World. Yeah.
Either way, it's a world of Monster Hunter, possibly more than one world. If you've played any Monster Hunter game in like the past 5 years, this solves almost every problem that I think you would have had with it. Like,
one, it's on PC.
It's going to be on PC, yeah. It doesn't have... First off, it looks good because it's not gated to the 3DS, so it's not like super chunky. Like, the textures are really, really nice. It looks a lot better than Dauntless, if I'm being honest. I liked the way Dauntless looked, and then when I played Monster Hunter World, I was like, Dauntless looks empty as hell compared to this. This is like a rich world.
Did you play Dauntless?
I played probably like 3 or 4 hours of it, yeah. I actually, like, maybe it'll come up on a future show, but I think it's pretty okay. But I do think Monster Hunter World is kind of going to eat its lunch.
Yeah.
Well, is this on Steam? Because Dauntless is apparently not coming to Steam.
Dauntless is not coming to Steam, but it is going to be, like, out before Monster Hunter World. But Monster Hunter World is going to... I want to just preface this by saying I kind of like Dauntless. I think more than the average person, but Monster Hunter World is going to crush it. Maybe like this is like an Overwatch Paladin situation, I think, like all over again.
Right.
They're similar enough, but one is like the one. But
the fact that Paladins is doing well enough, though, to make money and stay alive is impressive.
But it's because Paladins is free.
And free, correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't Dauntless going to be free as well, though?
It is, but right now it's like $100.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to be free when it comes out for its like beta period in a couple weeks or something. But anyway, if you play Monster Hunter, this one actually looks good, which is rare. It's for Monster Hunter at least. It's on a real system, including PC, which means the camera control is 10 times better because you're not using the shitty little 3DS nub that you have to like. It's not even a real stick.
Yeah.
No offense,
3DS,
man.
It's like a nipple.
Exactly. There's no loading screens between the zones, so in regular Monster Hunter, you're like, oh, the monster's in 3, and it's been paintballed. So now we have to like chart a course on this tiny little map and like walk here. And then every time you walk, there's a loading screen. You go, I went to the wrong zone. Go back. There's a loading screen. It takes you like 40 minutes to get to where you want to be.
That seriously turned me off to it on 3DS. I didn't want to play it because of all the damn loading.
Exactly. Now that is like, does not exist anymore, at least within the conceit of a single mission. Also, we didn't see this, but we were told when you like finish a hunt, oftentimes if you're not familiar with Monster Hunter, you want like armor from a monster, you got to kill it like 10 times to get the right drop out of it. And it might be rare. You might get super lucky and find it. You might never find it, right? So oftentimes you do a hunt, you go back to base, you do the same hunt like over and over and over multiple times. They told us that once you go out on a hunt, if you want to hunt the same monster, you don't have to like go back to a quest board, pick out the quest, and then like go back through another loading screen and go back. It's just, you can just be like, I want to do this quest again, and then it kind of like repopulates the world and you go from there. So like a much more frictionless experience, without a doubt.
You probably don't know the answer to this question, but usually when you go on a hunt, you prepare by eating meals and buffing up and all this stuff. Will that meal that you ate like the timer reset, or will it just continue going until if you replay the missions, basically, does the amount that you've had that meal on you keep ticking down, or are you gonna have to go eat again, or will it reset the timer of the meal, that kind of thing?
To be honest, the demo didn't have that.
I figured
in the scope, so like they started you like in the camp that the mission is in or the hunt is in.
I mean, alone just being able to be like, do it again, yes,
exactly.
That takes 5 to 10 minutes of just going through the motions out of the grinding experience.
So I always thought that Monster Hunter is like a little too like Kingdom Heartsy, in that like if you don't have the built up experience, you're like, this mechanic is really weird. Like, why do I have to go? There's 8 quest givers, and I have to go and be like, oh, this is the one that gives this particular hunt. Don't do that one. That's the enraged version of the hunt, and this is the guy who gives you the online quest. So don't talk to that guy. Like,
right.
The fact that it's much more, it seems much more streamlined in this version so far is like an enormous plus, I think.
Yeah,
they feel like remarkably dedicated to this bizarre bureaucracy in like the running around element of the game that just really took away from the fun part.
Just like checking in with all the different people, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Actually, like I think the reason that I was able to get like 50-50 into Monster Hunter is because Kate has played like hundreds of hours over the course of her life. So when I'm like, what do I do now? Because the quest that it tells me to do is gather 10 mushrooms, and that sounds boring as hell. She's like, oh, just don't do that. Just do the ones that are actually fun, where you like hunt monsters, because it's all about just like grinding gear, and then like occasionally in the story mode there's like a critical battle you have to beat, and then you move up a level, and like that's that. But
all the gathering missions, they do a terrible job of telling you this, but all the gathering missions are meant to be like tutorials of like, here's how you play the game. But if you've played any Monster Hunter, you can just skip all of that and get right to the monster hunting bits.
Because you're gathering like while you're on the mission most of the time.
That's what I was going to ask. Can you just gather the stuff and then turn them in whenever?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're just doing it frictionlessly that way.
So like, and then apart from that, there's like the combat, and the combat was great. Like it felt very fluid and very Monster Hunter-y. And we were using the controller, so I can't speak to keyboard and mouse, but it played exactly like you would expect Monster Hunter to play on the controller. Mm-hmm. With the one exception being like, in Monster Hunter on 3DS, you only use the nub for camera control, but on the PlayStation 4 controller, you can use the right stick to like quick select items, because otherwise you have to press L1 and then square and circle, like move through your inventory left and right. So this is like nicer that they've got it set up like that, but also many times I was like adjusting my camera and accidentally like used a ghillie suit, and they're like, you're stealthy now, and I'm like, I don't want that. So maybe a little bit of learning curve, but
sweet.
It seems like I will play this. Zero question. Everybody that played it at the show was like, that's exact. You know, we're always talking, we these games come out and we go, why didn't they do it like this? I'd really like it more if they did it like this. This is like Capcom is like, okay, we'll put it on PC and like it looks nice, we'll remove the loading screens, and it's a little bit more sensible in mission design. That's
all the best news you could have told me to make me want to play that more, so I'm in.
I have nothing negative to say. Basically.
Is it going to be completely multiplayer, like the online, like the city is always a hub world kind of thing for other players to see, or I'm curious?
Yeah, they just started us like in an instance, so
all right, I just didn't know
can't speak to that
information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sweet. Even if they don't, even if it's just a normal Monster Hunter on PC with those nice upgrades, I'm in. So
the only way they could mess this up and frustrate me is if they were like, it's coming to PC like a year after it comes to console. But we'll see.
Apparently, it's also getting free DLC, so there's some more good news too.
Honestly, Monster Hunter's been really good about that. They do that on 3DS all the time. There's always like free monster hunts that you can download or free gear that you can get. They've always been good like that.
Dope. Cool. Okay. Well, there you go. That'll do for PAX West Recap 2017. Good stuff. Let's talk about Humble real quick. Just kind of a kudos, actually, to Humble for this amazing milestone. Humble has raised $100 million for charity. That's crazy. Over the course of like 6 years or so, I think. It might have been like 2011 when they started up. And then, man, memories. Those Humble bundles back in the day. That was, I know we've talked about this before, but that was back when like Humble bundles contained the necessary games. That was like, the Humble bundles were all just incredible, ridiculous.
There's like 10
offers.
indie games you need to own, and the bundle contains 6 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Which that was also during the time when, like 500 games were coming out on Steam a year, which has now gone up by a factor of fucking 10. So that's...
Remember those days? Those days when there were 10 indie games you needed to own? It was like Bastion, Limbo, Super Meat Boy. They pretty much covered the whole gamut.
Braid.
Spelunky, Isaac. Like, it's the whole...
That's the whole scene.
No, this is in the pre-PC Spelunky era.
That's
this
true,
is
actually.
way
Yeah,
back
that's like... that's way
Other
back in
stuff
the day.
snuck in there like Knit.
Oh,
God,
way
I
back
remember
in
that.
the day.
Mm-hmm.
Never knew how to say that properly.
I remember getting an email from the developer of that game, and he was like one of the first codes I ever got a game for, like for free, doing YouTube stuff, and I was like blown away. I'm like, this game's on the PC and it's on the Vita.
Is the
Oh my
ball
God.
rolling one like the like Limbo colors?
Yeah, something like that.
Or am I thinking of? He made a second one that was like that. I can't remember.
Knit? I don't know. It was like, I think it was like a Metroidvania style.
I remember the ball rolling one, and Knit is not that. I don't
Knit
think.
Underground. It's like a Metroidvania style game.
It's a platformer, but there's a ball rolling one. It's like
Night Sky.
Yeah.
Night Sky. That's it.
This is actually not a bad bundle going on right now. I mean, they're a little dated, but you get Resident Evil 4 for $684, along with a bunch of Sonic games. You got Dead
Is it the
Rising
HD
in there.
remake?
What's that?
Is it the HD remake of RE4?
I don't know. Yes.
Okay, so that would be odd if it
or
wasn't.
9,000 versions of
Yeah.
RE4.
Yeah, anyway. Well, there you go. Oh, not to mention the fact that Psychonauts is also free over on Humble if you're interested in that. So go ahead and go snag
Play
that
that
too.
game.
Dude, the
great
fact that
game.
the fact that we care a lot less about Humble bundles now, despite them like consistently being pretty great,
Yeah.
is just so indicative of the fact that there's just so many goddamn games. People, the Humble Monthly is literally like, hey, there's like a AAA game that was $60 that came out a year or a year and a half ago, plus like 8 other games that we vetted and are probably really good for $12. And people are like,
I don't know.
Well, I gotta say, the other operations running the bundles though, like really diluted it to hell.
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
no offense
You're
to them, some of the bundles are decent, but like there's tons that are just straight up garbage.
Well, there's like 100 games that are really bad for like 50 cents.
Well, I don't know. I follow like 5 or 6 of these places that churn out these bundles. Some of them do it 5 times a week,
Yeah.
like literally 5 times a
How,
week, and I
though?
get emails about them. Each day is a new bundle, and it's been going like this for over a year.
God.
And like once a month, I'll buy one of them just to get some weird stuff to add.
Oh,
to the
well, that's
pile.
how you're keeping them in business, dude.
Yeah, but
Right,
the
well, then I look at it,
$1 a
like,
month.
there's 600 people bought this bundle. It's like, wait, how is this still working?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
What-
wild.
Anyway, props to Humble for keeping it good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I'm with you. Like, I think a lot of those like super discount bundles are just predatory. Like, I think they take advantage of developers whose games maybe weren't that successful, and then there's that like Chrome extension that tells you the lowest price that like a game has ever been.
All right, yeah.
So if your game's in a bundle for like, you can get 100 copies for pay what you want, 1 cent or greater. All of a sudden, like you can blow out your whole market basically, because people just go to G2A and buy a key for like 8 cents.
Yeah. Well, they'll see that the price is shot down to, like 10% of what it actually is and never buy it at the full price, obviously, because
Exactly.
they're going to hold off on that, too.
And Humble also, like, a lot of people don't know this, but they fund some games. Like, I don't know if you played Keyboard Sports at PAX, but that's a
I
game
saw
that,
that,
like,
yeah. Mhm.
like Humble is just publishing it. I don't know what they're getting on the back end, but I think it's coming out for free. So
Oh, it is?
it's just a game that they've sort of supported the development of and are now releasing.
Okay.
Goodwill effort, maybe? That sounds
Yeah,
nice.
they're very like they're developer and charity focused.
It's just good people, man. So thank you, Humble, for being good people. Man, I just want to throw this out there because you talking about like the current state of games. I saw that Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, is $20 now. That came out like 4 months ago,
March,
didn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
That's crazy.
It's $20 on Origin?
Well, you know what? It might have been on sale actually. Hold on, let me make sure. Let's see. I think it's it's 20 on Xbox One.
Wow, now that's a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not an admission that like this didn't sell well outwardly?
I think so.
Well, I mean, I think they're post
Not that
last
they
month
need
saying
it,
that
but-
we're done developing DLC and patching the game
Yeah.
was an
So
admission.
we can do the full-on nosedive now. Is that we're out?
Yeah. Sweet. Well, yeah. Anyway, there we go. Humble Bundle. Congratulations for raising $100 million for charity. That is pretty freaking incredible.
Yeah.
Let's go to Nintendo Direct. We got some info from that. That is very interesting.
I
What's
have
up?
nothing good to say about Nintendo until they give me Animal Crossing.
They have so many things, though, man. Look, we need to be nicer to them. They're doing good this year.
I've been so pro Nintendo. We talked about this on the LSS. I just want to grind this stone briefly.
Yeah.
I don't think Mario X Rabbids is that good.
Whoa!
I was
on.
enamored for like my first 4 hours, and I was like, this is colorful and makes me feel smart. I find a lot of the mid to late game missions tedious, and the puzzles have no bearing on my overall experience. I think that game is just okay.
Damn, son. Okay, I actually can't speak to the mid to late game, honestly. I've only got like 6 to 8 hours in it, but
You must be like roughly where I am there. Are you on like chapter
4?
3? You're in World 4 is the last world.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Apparently I'm pretty far. Well, yeah, no, I don't know, man. Like, it's still fun. I'm having a good time. I was seeing actually like a thread between Total Biscuit and Nerd Cube. They were saying that I agree with. They were saying it's like Pixar level animation, which is, not something you toss around lightly. It's got high quality elements across the board. Production value obviously through the roof.
I know some people are gonna dislike the game because they're gonna be like, the rabbits are annoying, and there is some truth to that. Whenever you see like a cutscene, it's always like, I'm a rabbit and I'm stupid, and then it falls into like a vat of something and becomes like a
Acid.
super rabbit.
But
Exactly.
hold on though,
To a
because
skeleton.
sometimes it's genuinely funny, and you have to admit that.
No, I'm kind of with you. When I watch that, I'm like, it's cute. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it's Pixar quality. It might be Pixar quality animation, but I disagree. But it's not Pixar quality like writing.
Storytelling or
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, no.
Wait,
like-
a Mario game and a Rabbit game together don't equal Pixar quality
No.
story?
That's
It's
my opinion.
blowing my mind.
There's a very specific part of it that's Pixar level quality. We have to specify that.
But I don't know. I almost want it to be more like XCOM, where almost every mission has like a unique condition, and I just hate it. When I'm like, I just want to just make the missions harder. Don't be like every mission is like, oh, and here's these things they teleport you, and like, oh, on this one, like, you don't even have to kill the enemies. You just have to escort Toadette to the end, and like, it's not bad. I want to be clear. I think that the game is good, and I think that for most people it'll probably be worth the money. And the first couple of chapters, I was like, I like it. But now I'm just like, it became a chore for me to play, and I was like, at that point, I should just put it down.
All right.
I'm not going to force myself to finish it.
All right. That's fair.
Fair enough.
Here we go with Nintendo Direct, though. So, a couple of announcements. First one being, well, actually, I don't know. I asked you guys. I'm not sure if they actually had announced this. We knew there was a Kirby thing coming, but I believe they've finalized here. This is Kirby Battle Royale, which is going to be coming to the Nintendo 3DS. It's going to feature a story mode, multiplayer, arena mode, all kinds of wacky, silly Kirby shenanigans. So there we go. That'll
Right,
be
and that's
interesting.
separate from the actual Kirby offering that's coming to Switch, which is
Okay, that's what I was wondering about. That's
what was at
clarifying
E3.
point. Okay.
There was just a traditional sort of regular Kirby game coming out, which actually had me kind of excited.
Yeah. Okay, so those are two.
I don't know about this
completely-
Battle Royale thing though.
Those are two completely separate entities. Then, all right.
Yeah, 'cause
that's-
this one's on 3DS.
right. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's coming out. Well, the 3DS one's coming out January 19th on 3DS. There you go.
Okay.
Next thing that Austin was just livid with. I don't know if you guys saw this. The Mario Party Top 100, which is them bundling together. It's pretty silly. It's 100 mini games in one package coming out November 10th on the 3DS. Apparently, you can play with 4 people via local wireless or download play, which is where one player has the game card that is shared between 4 players, which is, not online, which would be great if we could play Mario Party online,
It
that
is,
would be
like,
pretty wonderful.
I don't want to take their side like too much, but the download play is a super smart idea, in my opinion.
You think
Like,
so?
We had situations where, like, when Kate was in school, she would buy like whatever the Mario Party was for 3DS last, I think, and it means that if you have 4 3DSs, like if you can get 3 other people that have the system, you only need 1 copy of the game to play multiplayer between them with everybody on their own screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I almost think that it's not plausible to be cynical about download play existing, because it's just a better way to do local multiplayer on a handheld.
I mean, they've had download play for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual Mario Party offering, what we're getting out of this is sort of the opposite of what Capcom did with Monster Hunter World. This is take all the things people didn't want and put them front and center, right? You want an actual game with online.
Take away the game part of Mario Party and just make it WarioWare, and then put it on the 3DS with no online.
I don't know about you. Mario Party for me wasn't about the mini games. It's about watching my friends' faces as I steal their stars on the board.
Right, the
Absolutely.
mini games were just how you steal their stars, among other things.
The new, like, Mario Party, what was the last one? It was 8, maybe 9?
Wasn't it? I think it was 9.
Remember. We have them both. They're like, you're right, it's the exact opposite of Monster Hunter World, which is, I mean, we're talking about a game that doesn't exist yet, really, but either way.
The ethos is what I meant.
Yes, I agreed. Like, they're just bad Mario Party games. Like, they're reasonably fun, but nobody wants them to do what they're doing, which is everybody like rolls together, and it loses like the board game aspect of it.
Yeah, I remember that why in the new Mario parties do you not have separate pieces? Why are you all on one cart? That doesn't make any sense. Why am I on a board at that point?
Yeah,
the board is supposed to have like choices of which way you're going to go and try and strategize which your route, but that's gone when you're all in a cart together.
Did anybody see or play Mario Party Island Tour on the 3DS?
No.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
What year did it come out in?
That was 2014, 2013
I think I
in
did
America.
play that, yes.
Uh-huh.
The last I played was number 3 on the N64.
Nice.
See, those games are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, high
in
quality.
my opinion, at least.
Played a lot of those, yeah.
I still fondly remember my brother beating me up one time for yelling something into the microphone on the GameCube version when he was playing that he wasn't supposed to.
All
Good
they have to
times.
do is make you roll and then play a minigame. And everybody rolls themselves and moves themselves around the board instead of like this weird I don't even know I can't remember if this is even Mario Party, but they had the weird game I think in Bowser mode where one of the mini games you would see like on your Wii U screen, you'd be like, this is where the treasure is, and there's like 8 treasure chests. And then you show the players 8 treasure chests on the TV, and you draw to try to get them to pick the one that is not good. You try to get them to pick like something that causes them to lose stars. It's not gameplay. You have like basically a 1 in 8 chance of getting something good, and then you draw and go like, oh, don't pick this one, pick this one. It's meaningless. The players can just go, I'm not going to pay attention to what you're doing. I'm just going to take like top left or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Pick the card behind Grubb's Tavern. That is where the treasure is hidden. They should have just remade Mario Party 1 with more mini games with all.
I would have been super down for like a complete remastering of like Mario
reboot
Party
it.
1, or just like Mario Party 1 and 2 put together, or something. Like you could do anything with the early Mario parties and just modernize them.
Yeah.
I'm
I would've
totally
been-
cool
I would've
with the
been in.
top 100 deal. Like, give me a ton of mini
Yeah.
games. That's fine. But like, put the actual game in it the way you want and give it, multiplayer.
Yeah.
Since it's a multiplayer game, it's kind of obvious.
Crazy. So weird. It's so weird.
I
For
wish
all
they
the
would
good things
explain their
Nintendo
thing.
does. I want to just sit in the room while they're trying to figure out what to do with Mario Party and just like listen to the thought process and be like, how do you think this is a good idea?
My only guess is that they find it central to their branding that they want people physically in the same room. Like that they want people to relive this idea of classic gaming still in the modern era, and that is indistinguishable.
Yeah.
Right? That part is part of their branding so central that they won't let it go despite all the evidence that everyone wants the opposite.
At the same time, though, they're doing such crazy things with other parts of their business. Like I
agree.
They're innovating
Yeah,
well
it's all over for them.
in
They're
other
doing so many-
places, but
they're such a weird company, man.
Yeah.
Like the Wii comes out and it's a smash success. It like single-handedly saves their company from like being just like mobile and like handheld.
they were
stuff.
starting to be forgotten. I'm sure we can all fondly remember the days of the big 3 almost becoming the big 2, and then all of a sudden it was the big 3 again.
And then Wii U comes out and they're like, we don't know what we're doing. Here's a Wii U. This is gimmicky, right? You'll love it. Nobody buys a Wii U. They're like, oh, here we go. Nintendo's going down again. And then the Switch comes out, and it just blows everybody away, and it's just like selling like hotcakes, and they're doing incredible stuff. And I think the Switch is a great idea, and the library is quickly becoming really good with their first-party stuff, and they're getting some decent third-party support with Doom and Wolfenstein coming and all that stuff.
I'm
It's
genuinely
crazy.
like thrilled with the way they're approaching indies. Like, it's insane. They're getting so many so fast. It's so cool. Like, they've got Kingdom getting on their Lichtspeer, like I mentioned before. Like, they've got Crypt of the Necrodancer coming to the Switch now with a co-op mode that sounds pretty interesting. There's all kinds of stuff going on the Switch already. It's great.
They've positioned themselves in a really good place, and you have to keep in mind, I'm usually the one that's being a bit negative, and in this case, the Switch, you can't really deny, is kind of the optimal way to play indie games. It's more powerful than you need for most of them, and it's got a really nice screen, a decent controller, and it can plug into your TV. So, provided you've got the memory for as many games you want to have, I can't really think of a much better way to do that than what the Switch does.
Yeah.
And they've positioned themselves for a really good library, too. So, it seems like the future is bright, despite a bit of a, maybe I thought, a shaky start with regard to their library. Things kind of turned around since the early summer, I would say.
Yeah, no, I wanted back in those days for me to be wrong in my assertion that their library was just not strong enough, and it definitely wasn't back at launch, but they very quickly, rectified that. So,
and Mario Rabbids is a big surprise. I mean, I know Ryan doesn't think it's great, but it's better than anybody was expecting, and people seem to love it. So
I agree on that.
And we're very quickly approaching the point now where we don't even have to worry about the library anymore, because all those huge games that they were talking about releasing are actually
Odyssey's next month.
Yeah, like October, dude. That's very soon. Fire Emblem Warriors is gonna come out like a week before that.
Yeah.
And then
Metroid Prime 4 is early 2018, so that's not super far away.
That's great.
So yeah,
I hope
there it comes.
Prime 4 is going to be great.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm still being really skeptical about it, but I hope so too.
Don't you may feel you can afford yourself some high hopes at this point, right?
Why?
Just because.
What do I have to gain from that?
Well, I guess the Metroid 2 remake on the 3DS is great.
Okay, well, I just bought it today. I haven't actually opened it yet.
Okay.
But I did read a few reviews on it, and it seems like people are liking it, but they are acknowledging that they didn't really try to push the game in any new direction, and it has some sort of odd decisions about how they approached combat. The game is much more focused around melee, which is not a thing that it ever was before. So I guess you have to parry most of the monsters to be able to fight them properly now. So they tried to take it in a bit of a different direction, and I don't know if that was the best choice, but ultimately the game is like passable at least. So
I'll be interested to see your thoughts between this and AM2R.
I already know I'm going to like AM2R more, but that's because I'm a little biased to the art style.
Yeah.
All right, I can understand.
Anyway, I'll try and keep an open mind.
Most important part of the Direct, of course, though, that we failed to mention up to this point, Mario has nipples. Discuss.
Yeah, right? And they took away his tribal tattoo.
Yeah, dude, what the hell?
right.
That was canon.
Tattoo from what, 2003 or something like that?
Yeah, what was that even
Tribal
from? I think that
GBA
was
came out.
that was like a particular game or something, right? That they were
No,
advertising.
it was a special branded, where edgy Nintendo released a GBA SP. It was silver with a tribal tattoo on the top.
Right.
Play it loud era style shit.
I was looking at this.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you saw it, this study that was showing the percentage of male to female people that were discussing Mario's nipples on Twitter the other day. It was a 2-to-1 ratio of men to women. So we know where our priorities are at. We got to figure out what's going on with these nips.
So there are women discussing Mario's nips on Twitter, though.
Yeah, mostly men though.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the most important part of the Nintendo Direct, of course. Let's get a little bit more Nintendo news in the mix before we part ways here.
News about
The SNES Classic, which we've talked about extensively. They've listened. They've listened to us specifically. He sent me an email, Mr. Nintendo, and he told me, "Hey, thanks for the advice, guys. Appreciate it." They're gonna dramatically increase the production of mini SNESs, which is quite the shift from their plan of not doing that for some reason. So very, very happy to hear that.
they said they were going to do it before they did it, and then they released it and they didn't.
Right.
And now they're saying they're going to do it.
And now they're saying they're going to do it again. So I'm hoping that they're actually going to do it again this time. But I got to give them the benefit of the doubt here, right?
Okay.
So that's hopefully happening. Along with the mini NES, they have plans to re-release that into circulation in 2018. So if you missed your chance on the mini NES, You'll have a chance for that again next year, and hopefully more people will actually be able to pick up the mini SNES because they're in dramatically increasing production. So yay! Hopefully, maybe.
Sweet.
Did they ever say they were never going to redo the NES, or was that just sort of we assumed that?
I feel like they said that.
I thought they had said that. I didn't want to commit to saying it out loud until I got some confirmation from you guys. But
I have a hunch that they actually did say that they weren't planning on putting it back into production. Maybe they felt the backlash on that as well.
It kind of feels like every decision they're making is an outward lie to get people to buy stuff immediately. And then they just change their mind and do the opposite so then people can buy stuff again.
Well, they only made like 7 of them, so.
But you got one. Or
The
you got
SNES Mini, yeah, not the NES Mini. I did not.
Oh, did you got an SNES Mini, Mathis?
I got it.
Oh, that's right, you did it on the show. That's
live
right.
on podcast. I got it.
Isn't today the day? Like it's out today?
I get mine on October 6th, so.
I thought it was today for some reason.
It might be today. Maybe the one I ordered was just like later shipment, but
You're going to resell it, right?
clearly I need to make $1,000 right off that
There you
thing.
go, dude.
No, I mean, you should. That's why you buy them.
Right.
That's why anybody buys them.
Definitely
September
not putting it up there.
29th. It's 2 weeks away. So
Man.
you were correct.
All right. Well, yeah.
Sweet.
So yeah, good news for those who were hoping to pick one of those up. You should be able to. So there you go. Let's real quick talk about Telltale. They've hired a new CEO. Interesting stuff. Former Zynga GM Pete Hawley has joined Telltale Games as their new president and CEO. He'll step into the position replacing Dan Connors, who will move to an advisory role. So this is ahead of The Wolf Among Us Season 2, which has already been announced from Telltale. We've talked pretty extensively about Telltale here on the show before, mentioned the fact that most of us would kind of prefer they go in a different direction, and this may be indicative of that, potentially.
The Zynga direction.
The Zynga direction, yeah.
Buzzinga.
So let's talk. I want to talk about Zynga for a second, because what are they doing right now? What are they working on right now? Are they doing anything? I don't think they
have
are.
to sell their headquarters.
Did they? That would be bad news.
I thought they had to sell their headquarters, but I
Hold on
don't
here.
remember. It looks like they made like a new Farmville recently.
Zynga has been
and
taking
then,
steps to cut expenses and expand its business into areas such as licensed board games, online gambling, its own gaming platform, and mobile game apps. Okay.
Hey.
I thought that they were like screwed. I don't mean that they're going out of business necessarily, but there was a time, like 2010, they got bought by, or I forget. They had like $1 billion or $1.5 billion valuation or something like that.
Yeah, and we
were like everything. Facebook games are the future, and then because we live in a fast-moving, near future time ourselves, like that. Obviously, who plays Facebook games anymore?
Yeah,
There's
now
like one weird dude who went to your high school keeps inviting you to play Family Feud, and that's it, right? Like,
The business equivalent of standing in the basement in the Blair Witch Project.
Exactly.
It's not looking good right now.
So yeah, they had a public offering back in 2011, which has since plummeted in value. So there's another representation of their current situation. I wanted
you ain't wrong.
I wanted to just sort of put a perspective on what Zynga is now, because we hear Zynga and we just still think Farmville, right? Like that's me at least. That's still my instant connection. But that was 8 years ago. So, what are they doing? And apparently it's not much. So, I don't know if Pete Hawley was jumping from a sinking ship or if he was, genuinely interested in going in a new direction. But it's just an interesting, platform for this discussion, I suppose. But, so coming from that, I don't really know if we can, derive a lot from, he came from Zynga. What's he going to do to Telltale now, right? I'm pretty sure that's not a very realistic approach. But certainly it can be expected that he'll bring some new ideas to the table, and I hope that it's going to be a different direction for Telltale, at least. I think we're all kind of on the same page there.
8 years is a very long omission in a resume, though, to go from this to that. Mm-hmm. So it makes me wonder what exactly happened in that period of time. Like you said, all I do think of is Farmville.
Right.
And what happened there? what all of a sudden sparked you to leave and go?
You pull as much money as you can out of the sinking ship and then get on a company that hopefully has an upward trajectory, I think.
Why 8 years instead of 6 or 10?
Give it
Right?
some
Like,
time.
what happened right then?
Shit, when you're that important of a role in a business like this, and especially one that, at one point was projected to be worth a lot of money, I think you got to stick around for a while to try to write it out.
Just letting things wind down, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, that's a slightly interesting development. We'll maybe keep an eye on Telltale, see how they
mildly
proceed.
controversial opinion. Maybe being a little bit... I'm not saying you can say that this is Mr. Zynga, but maybe being a little bit more Zynga-ish would be good for Telltale instead of just releasing games on the same engine with licensed properties that are extremely samey over and over.
Well, what is being
shake-up.
Zynga-ish specifically entail?
Well, I don't know. Trying anything new. I mean, Telltale's almost like adventure game Zynga, is my perspective. With being a little disrespectful, because The Walking Dead season 1 is like a piece of art as far as I'm concerned, and I genuinely don't think they're just like, let's make this, we'll make money. I think they're like, we can tell a good story with this. But my perspective with Telltale is that it's just churning out like the same sort of formulaic approach for different licensed properties, and it's very easy to be cynical about right now.
Well, like the magic of the first Walking Dead, outside of it being like a modern adventure game and a really cool take on how to do one, was that we were still under the illusion that choices mattered in that game, and that stuff was going to come to like fruition and drastically change how the game played out. And it quickly became apparent, especially in their later games, that it's just a visual novel.
Yeah.
That's what they are, and that your choices are all illusory, which to most video games that's true to an extent, but they usually impact how certain things play out, while in Telltale games that became less and less of a thing. And I kind of got disillusioned with their video games after, I think The Wolf Among Us Season 1 was the last one that I played, to completion.
I'm in that boat with you, too. I think, here's something I didn't realize, actually. I just learned this today. I guess Sean, the guy that was in the news for all those reasons, Sean Vanneman, apparently was the lead writer on that first season of The Walking Dead.
Correct, yeah.
And then took his team with him to Campo Santo to make Firewatch. So
yeah.
Maybe, a little bit of a loss of talent there, I suppose, for the writing department, which they might be struggling with now. But, yeah.
It's an odd perspective, though, to get into when you think about how choice doesn't matter. Because if you think about how the game is built and how they want to build it to sell sequels ultimately, you do have to have a fixed beginning and end point, right?
Right.
And I guess how you get from one to the other could vary. But, like, if all the characters still have to be alive and with sort of the same story beats, I don't know how you really do much that drastically changes it.
That's the thing. They have to, if it's a 5-episode arc, they obviously start in, the same point. And they can kind of, like bubble out like a tree or something like that. But they all have to stop with, you're going to end at the same point. There's just going to be, different parameters, like this person's alive, this person's dead, et cetera, et cetera.
Or you have sort of superficial endings that are, sort of different, but not really. And then they pick up in different ways, but ultimately end again in the same way. I don't know. It's just sort of pushing the goalposts back in different ways, and it depends on how the audience takes it, I guess. I was never super bothered by what they did with it because I just sort of saw it as like a movie that you get to sort of superficially mess with at times. But I get the frustration there.
Yeah.
I mean, even to a degree, I'd be even pretty okay with them just updating the engine to to look better, smoother animations,
or different,
and in between scenes, not have that weird clear seam where your choices are being thought about for a second before it moves over, because there's always that weird hitching between scenes that I'm like, all right, can you fix that?
Yeah.
It's been 5 years.
You had a seam in there, Mathis, when you said that.
I know, right? I gotta fix that.
Mathis will remember that.
How far do you have to go back to be excited about a Telltale game? Here's their releases, and it just put 2 months in between every single one of these.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Batman: The Enemy Within the Telltale series, Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series, The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, Minecraft Story Mode, a Telltale game series, Batman: The Telltale game series. They've done 2 seasons. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
Minecraft Story Mode Adventure Pass. I don't know what that is, to be fair. The Walking Dead: Michonne, a Telltale miniseries. Game of Thrones, a Telltale series. Tales from Borderlands probably is where I kind of see that as like the
That's the
linchpin.
tipping point, right?
People were like, "That's really good," and then it's like a seam from that point onwards, which is just like, if you're into it, I guess go from this point on. But
Game of Thrones was the last one I played, and I only did the first episode of that and didn't keep going with it.
I did like the first 2 or 3 of Game of Thrones, and I was like, this is really boring.
I
kinda seems
actually I didn't
wasted
dislike
potential,
it.
right?
But
Yeah,
everyone
it's
told me it
huge.
was shit.
I remember before it got announced, there was like Telltale got their like a dream license, and people were like, "Oh my god!" People were just like, "It's either going to be Star Wars or it's going to be Game of Thrones. Like it's be one of those two." And they announced Game of Thrones, and that's like that kind of fits so well with that style of game, and it was horrendously boring.
Man, well, maybe it'll be different now, right? Maybe the future is bright.
Isn't there more Walking Dead still in the future?
Oh yeah,
Seems to be their main one, if there's anything.
they've had like 2 spin-offs of
They've
it already.
branched it. Yeah, they branched it off a bunch of times. Is Clementine still in a series that's running?
She's in the most recent one, isn't she? She's still kicking.
Yeah, she's the main character, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, so I guess people just lost interest in that then.
I really
That's a
wonder
shame.
if like we are representative of the majority opinion in this matter, because we're all more or less on the same page, I think, in regards to Telltale's game history. But did everybody have that tip off? I wonder. I wonder if the sales are even reflective of it. Of like Wolf Among Us, Tales of the Borderlands, and then Game of Thrones, and bam, 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 all the way down. Probably that's my assumption anyway. But I don't know if the numbers back that up. But
I do wonder, because I played a little bit of Minecraft Story Mode. I'm interested if that sold super well, just because of the demographic they were going for.
I get like it had to have sold because they made 2 seasons, so of course it sold. But,
Right, Minecraft Story Mode.
yeah. Anyway, there's the Telltale stuff. Let me know if you guys find some data about that. And let's move to Nick. I want to hear about Eyes of Ara, please.
Yeah, Eyes of Ara. It's a little 3D point-and-click adventure that I've been playing just recently. It came out like a year ago, and it was one that I put on my list that's like, I need to try this eventually. And as with Maize, I've been in a week of just like, I don't know what to play. Let's play some old stuff, I guess. And so I jumped into this one, and the premise is you are this technician of some kind. They don't exactly explain what you do for a job, but you can fix electronic things. And you get sent out to this island with this old castle-y mansion, and you're told there's this frequency being broadcast that's like messing up everything on this island. So you got to go figure out where that's coming from and stop it. And so in the course of you approaching this place, you come up with, you find some like backstory about the people who used to live there, and it sort of starts to introduce you to the characters. And basically you try to go from room to room, solving puzzles, collecting objects, and moving stuff around. Sort of like a more classic, like a Myst-style game.
Yeah.
And it starts off fairly easy. The puzzles are not incredibly difficult or obtuse or anything. As you get deeper in, though, you find out more about the family that lived there, and you start to find out about some sort of maybe sinister stuff. It's not like a paranormal thing as far as I can tell, and it's not a horror game. But there are these little, like, drones that fly around the mansion that shoot a blue light around and watch stuff. And it's pretty creepy. And they just do this dynamically while you're looking around the mansion. I don't get the sense that they're trying to kill you or anything. They're just watching. And the family that was living there is also kind of coming to terms with that. And then eventually they think that they're possessed by ghosts, and then they have to leave. And this is stuff you find out by reading, like, the letters and stuff you find throughout the house. Where I don't know why they're writing letters to each other, actually, but they seem to be doing that.
From within the house?
From within the house, yeah. I'm sure it's consistent. I just wasn't really thinking too hard about it. Anyway, you just keep digging deeper and deeper, and eventually you kind of uncover some stuff that might be a little bit more mysterious, and I'm still in the process of it. I'm about 6 hours deep, and the game is now getting quite difficult, actually, requiring... like 3 levels deep of parsing math to pictures to language, and then like flipping stuff around. It's tricky now. So you have to have a little bit of patience with that kind of thing. But if you're a fan of point and click adventures, and especially ones with kind of mysterious mansions, maybe a bit of pretense about sort of a suspenseful pseudo paranormal situation, I think this might be the setting that gets you at least interested enough to want to pursue it further. Now, granted, I've been enjoying it largely. There have been a couple frustrating elements, and those largely have to do with the pacing of the puzzles and the sort of lack of inherent reward in them. The game is so densely packed with puzzles that every time you solve one, it immediately reveals one harder right after it, or it reveals an optional collectible. And that's normally fine until you realize this game's actually pretty freaking long and deep. And in the process of that, you're going to be collecting like dozens of these coins, dozens of pictures, and all of these are dead ends to the puzzle. So you think you solved something that feels rewarding, and then you go, oh, well, okay, I just got a collectible. Now I don't care anymore. It's like, if you're not going for the 100%, all of those feel like a letdown red herring moment where you could have been making progress. Instead, you get an object, and the object doesn't contribute to anything.
Those are a huge. I don't know about you. Those are a huge turnoff for me in games like those, man. Like they've got to have like a tangible reward for, especially more difficult puzzles. If my reward for this was absolutely what turned me off to The Witness, and I realize I'm definitely not like the target audience for that game now that I've played it. But like the reward most of the time in The Witness for solving a very hard puzzle was an even harder one immediately afterward, right? Which was a bit of a deterrent.
Yeah. In The Witness, I kind of didn't mind it as much because I saw most of those puzzles as sequences of iterative design where you were sort of learning a bunch of ways to approach the same question. In this one, it's got a pretty varied bunch of puzzles. It's not like you're going to be doing the same thing very often. But when it keeps getting harder and more obtuse, and then your reward is kind of nothing, it's like, well, where are we going? I want to at least see something new or like understand something more about the situation. And most of the time, the understanding comes from stuff that's just scattered in the rooms that you don't solve any puzzles for. So, I mean, I want the mystery to be what's locked up, but it's sort of just nothing that's locked up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get you.
That being said, it's not bad enough that it makes me not want to play it. I do see that as something that would turn off a lot of people if you do get frustrated with that, especially as it gets much more difficult. So yeah, I'd recommend it, especially if you're a fan of point-and-click adventures. Like I said, this one is 3D though, so like you can turn around in a circle at any point and everything is polygonal. You just can't walk. So your perspective is fixed. And I wish you could walk around. There are times when I just needed to see something from a slightly different angle and I couldn't, but that's the way it is. So, cool. Maybe not a deal breaker, maybe it is, but I liked it.
Right on. Eyes of Ara, $15, came out last summer. Actually won a few awards too, you were telling me, which is, kudos to them.
On the Steam page, it had like a stack of them, actually. So seems like a lot of people like this one.
Yeah, great reviews too. So there you go. If you're interested, 3D point-and-click adventure, The Eyes of Ara. I'm going to talk about GORN, which is a new VR gladiatorial combat game published by Devolver Digital and made by the developers of Broforce and what was the other one that they made? Free Lives. They did the Expendable. No, that was the other. Oh, they did Genital Jousting. That's right. That was their other.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So this is the Genital Jousting team, which, you can totally see the influences there once you grab a weapon in GORN and the way it flails around, which is very, unappetizing, honestly. But this game is super fun. It is probably, I was telling these guys, this is probably the funnest VR game I've played up to this point, and it is just, it's a wild time. One of the very few that I've actually, come back to, booted it up multiple times to throw on the VR equipment and play again because I had a good time with it. It's ridiculously over-the-top gore combat, so if you don't like that kind of stuff, you may be a little put off by this. But it's also very cartoony. It's not like it's, like hardcore blood gushing from things. Like, it is that, but it's also kind of goofy about it, if that makes sense. So it's pretty lighthearted for the most part. But yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. What you're seeing on the screen is the gist of what's going on. You've got a variety of weapons you can choose from. You can use either your bare fists, which is just you literally punching things, or you can grab like a mace within the game. You can grab a hammer. You can grab like a spear. You can even grab like if you flip off the crowd, which you can do in this game.
Yeah.
They'll throw rocks at you, and you can use the rocks, and you can like throw rocks at people or just like bash people over the head with a rock.
How do you flip off the crowd? Is there a button?
There's a button. Yeah, there's absolutely a button for it.
That's great.
So it's so much fun, man. Like, it's crazy. I get sweaty playing this game because I just go wild with it. It's the combat itself is, it's just combat. It's straight up, you're fighting people. You're having to duck and dodge and kind of block things sometimes. And there's occasionally like multiple combatants, and then there'll be like these champion battles that you can fight. I've only done one so far, but it was this dude that had nunchucks that was flailing around like crazy, and it was like super intense, but all you had to do was just go and beat him over the head, and it was done.
Oh, the chosen one.
But man, I've been having such a good time with this. The reviews are glowing as they should be. Issues, not really any that I can think of. The controls were tight, the presentation's great, there's, obvious replay value with it. It's really, really good, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to play quite a bit more of it, actually. This is an easy VR recommendation for me if you're looking for something fun to play on your Oculus or Vive.
What's the structure like?
It's so you've got the classic arena, right? So you can just jump into the arena and it'll just throw you like it. I think it might actually be like random. Like the battles, it'll be like generate 1 to 5 enemies that will come in waves, and so like it'll start with like 2 dudes that you're fighting. One will come at you, and then the other will come at you, and then 2 gates will open after you beat those 2 guys, and 2 more guys will come at you at the same time, and then you win the battle, and you get more experience toward your weapon unlocks. So, for example, if you kill, I think, like 5 enemies with the mace, then you unlock a new weapon, and then you got to make that progress with the other weapon and do stuff like that. So it's good.
Do you feel that the unlocks are substantial enough to keep your replay value going for a good while?
I didn't really even notice, honestly. Like, I haven't even really been thinking about that kind of stuff. It's just such stupid fun to jump in and beat the crap out of virtual gladiators that it's like I didn't even really care, Like I think it's got a good system in place, Like I think the weaponry that I've seen at least is interesting enough, and it's varied enough to keep me wanting to play. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, yeah, I do want to actually like unlock more weapons and see what kind of different variety of things that are available. I haven't seen a shield yet, which I was really hoping I could unlock, because it's often like you get completely overwhelmed when you got 2 guys both swinging 2 weapons at you at the same time. Okay, hold on, wait a minute, I need to figure this out.
There's gotta be a shield. That would be so satisfying to be able to block with the one arm and then retaliate with the other.
And you can kind of do that. Like, if you can grab a mace and then like have a hammer in the other hand, then you can like block the attack with a mace and then smash them like that, So you can already do stuff like that. And like I was saying, like it really responds well to basically whatever you want to do with it. Like, you can pick up body parts of your fallen foes and hurl them at other enemies and actually like impact them with that. So it's great. The
physics feel tight and everything. I mean, the videos I saw, it looked like they were right on, but you got to be in it to know for sure if it feels right.
You feel like you're punching a dude in the face, and it's great. It's an adrenaline rush. Seriously, it is so fun. So
yeah, some of my favorite stuff that I've had in VR have been like physics-based games, and like being able to toss a ball and catch it with my other hand, like I said, was a transformative thing for me. So having it be able to be physics, but also there's like an actual goal, sounds like what I really want.
This is the kind of game where, man, like if you've got the moxie for it, you can fucking you can throw a mace up in the air, beat the shit out of a dude, catch it as it falls, and then slam some other dude in the face. Like if the world is your oyster here in GORN, it's great.
I saw he got like baseball hit with a mace so hard it shot him up into the sky. So like that gave me a good vibe.
They've got so there's this slow motion mechanic where if you actually block one of their attacks, it'll give you a moment in like this Matrix slow time, and then you can get up close to him, and if you hit him really hard, it'll send him fucking flying. So that's probably what you saw, but it's good. It's really good. It's glowing. A glowing recommendation from me, rather. GORN. It's only $20 too, so.
What we need now is the engine of GORN applied to like a dungeon crawler, where there's like a larger goal, but that's the combat. That
would be great. Let's say that's kind of like what Vanishing Realms was trying to be, but it just wasn't very good. So I agree with you there. Like that would be pretty dope. It
seems like we're establishing all of these little building blocks of middleware where eventually all of these individual games and tech demos will have to coalesce like a Katamari and form the greatest VR game that could exist.
Yes.
I hope.
And one day we'll get there. One day. Oh, man. So, anyway, it's in early access. I should mention that as well. I don't know when they're planning to exit. It said between 3 months to a year, and they just entered early access in July, so they'll probably be in there.
3 months and a year, that's a huge
that's a big window.
Wide gap.
I don't really know like what they need to add. There's not much else that needs to be put in. It's pretty much good to go. So there you go. That's GORN. Hey, Ryan, tell me about Rock of Ages 2, please.
Oh, wow. Okay. Rock of Ages 2 is the sequel to Rock of Ages 1. Ace Team, who made Xenoclash, or as you might know it, Controller GORN. So the way that Rock of Ages 2 works...
True.
I haven't played single player at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. We've played like 4 or 5 hours of multiplayer now at this point. The main multiplayer mode has 2 phases. In the second phase, which is the easiest way to describe it, you play as a big rock that is a sphere that rolls down a maze of your opponent's construction. Your goal is to hit the enemy base at the bottom and do enough damage to eventually break down their gate and then crush their, like the players inside of it. So once you break down the gate, you're essentially done. The building phase, which is actually the first phase, gives you a little bit of money, and then you place towers, and you're kind of designing a tower defense that 90% of is probably going to be destroyed by the enemy boulder because it just smashes everything in its path. But you try to create basically like these areas where an enemy rock might be slowed down, or it might be tricked into like going onto a spring pad that launches it off the edge so it loses HP, and if it loses all its HP, it just breaks and doesn't do any damage. Or maybe you just try to do like hurl a bunch of missile weapons at them so it eventually loses all of its HP as well. So it's like a multiplayer competitive tower defense combined with almost like a racing game at the other end, or like a weird spherical platformer.
Mm-hmm.
It is very weird mixed match of games,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
It is.
hilarious. It's very funny. The art is great. The sound effects are hilarious. My biggest gripe with the game is that I've only played maybe like an hour, so and only single player. But the time between you hitting the door and you placing the traps, it takes like a long time. Like you place all your traps and then you still have to sit there for like 30 seconds and kind of just wait.
Oftentimes,
It's very boring, that part.
There is, like, I have had that happen. There's also been times where I, like, don't have enough time to place. Because there's, like, 4 tiers of balls. Some of them are, like, all around. Some of them take a long time to build, but they're really strong. Some of them build really quickly, but they're super weak. But they might have a gimmick, like, whatever you roll down, they can't build on for, like, 3 minutes after you touch that space on the ground. And some of them, I think, might actually just be bad. Like, I'm not sure the cow ball has like anything positive about it, but I'm not totally sure.
It's very light. I think you can use this jump over stuff more easily, but it's super weak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
it's
attributes are big difference in between one and the other, right? Like that's the big separation from 1 and 2. The balls have way more meaningful attributes to them. The first game, it was like one is square, and mostly, other than that, they're just decorative.
Yeah. Square Rock of Ages was a dark time in our lives.
It doesn't roll. That's the premise. Yeah, it's a weird thing. And I think the stages are much prettier in this game.
I agree. Like the art is beautiful, and it's like it only really comes to a head when you play a game that looks this different. Where you're like, other games, like so many of them don't even seem like they're trying to look cool. Like a lot of this game, when you play it, every stage is different, and it's got such a unique kind of like pastel art style that you're like, this is really nice. And then you go back to playing a game that's like silver corridors, and you're like,
Yeah.
But the only other thing I'll complain about relative to Rock of Ages 1 is that I wish there were more multiplayer modes, because I actually, over time, I've really, really warmed up on the battle mode, like the one that we were just talking about. But we played like skee ball in Rock of Ages 1. That was pretty fun, where you race down, and then at the bottom there's like a little skill check almost to see how many points you get, and whoever gets the most points at the end wins. So I wish that there was more than just battle and race, but one day.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it almost seems like they took a step backwards, having way less game modes in the second one. And I'm not sure if they really made up for it. I mean, having a more substantial roster of rocks, is that a meaningful enough difference between one and the other? Maybe, maybe not.
I also wonder if, like, we only think that it has so much strategic depth compared to the first one because we almost never played the battle mode in the first one. Like we played, like, maybe an hour of it, and we're like, I don't really get it. And then just only played the racing ones, so. Sweet. But, dude, I don't know. I think Rock of Ages 2 is really cool. And I actually think that it's one of the rare games we play on the show where it actually has, like, blossomed a lot in every segment that we've done. Like the first one, we were like, oh, we don't really get it, but it's fun rolling the rock around. And then like as time has gone on, we've developed like strategies, almost like when we played Cannon Brawl. Like it's accessible, and the first few times you play it, you're like, this is cool, but I don't really fully get it. And by like hour 5, you're like, I have a strategy set up and I am dialed in.
Yeah.
It is probably a little confusing to watch, at least at first, because we didn't even understand how the maps were structured. It seems like they're mirrored, and then it seems like you could place things on the wrong side of the map accidentally, but you can't.
Yes.
And I just kind of learned to just stop questioning and just go ahead with it and just go, and it works, but I don't know why it works.
It also gets a lot better because, like, once you... this might actually be the biggest problem, is that you have to play for, like, a few hours to unlock everything, and if you don't have everything unlocked, you're just going to be crapped on in multiplayer, because you don't get, like... The ball is sort of secondary, but not having any synergy between your towers makes it impossible to construct a maze that can stop anybody, basically.
And some of the units that you can get are just better than other ones. Like sticky cows are just the top tier, right? If you don't have sticky cows unlocked, your whole team is basically at a disadvantage at that point.
Yeah. But when you start, you have like... I think you have like a ballista. I mean, you might not even start with ballista.
It might just be random.
Yeah, no, I think there's like 3 you start with. There's cannons and towers and maybe one other thing. And you're like, towers are actually not very good. They're like situational. Like you can use them to try to trick people. Like you can put a wall of towers right against a cliff so they crash into the tower and then just go off the cliff. But apart from that, they're like pretty much garbage. So if you're playing against somebody who just got the game, basically all they do is build walls that you destroy and get money from, and then that's it.
I also wonder if we're actually playing it properly, because sometimes I feel like we don't have nearly enough money between rounds to keep putting stuff down. And maybe we're supposed to be doing something else. Like, I guess you can like fight these guys that run into gold mines, but I don't really know where they are or how to find them. So I find myself sort of lacking in units a lot of the time. So I just try to make it really count in one specific part of the map, which I feel like is a bit of a detraction because the maps are actually fairly big and it takes a few moments to get through them. If you're not really affecting much of the map, what's the point? I mean, just you're basically setting up one trap.
Yeah.
So you don't have to play Rock of Ages 1 to play Rock of Ages 2, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There's no continuation. No. Okay, I got to make sure. But this is a good jumping in point, and would you recommend it overall? Basically, is the gist of it, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's weird. Like, you got to be primed a little bit to be off-put at first, because you won't know what the hell's going on. If you can give it like an hour, you'll probably be good by the end of the hour, but at first you might be like, this is a little frustrating and I don't know what I'm doing.
I think of it kind of like a competitive, silly Marble Madness.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're just trying to get it down this path and, avoiding holes and traps and making jumps and getting to the end where you smash your boulder into the gate, and you do that until the gate falls over. And then you go in and you squish somebody. It's comedic. It's a simple premise, but it's fun.
Sweet. All right.
15... I think it's good if you can, like, get your friends into it. If you can even have, like, one friend and then play 2 versus the AI or 2v other people online, then I think that's, like, where you buy in. Because, like, with a lot of these games, I'm like, the multiplayer is really fun, but we're in this, like, ideal crucible for any game with online multiplayer. Where we're like, we have 4 people who can get it, and also we have, like, a couple thousand people watching us that are excited to watch it. So I think it might kind of like make it more of a rosy experience than it would be for other people. But I think if you can get your friends into the multiplayer, you could get like a few decent hours of entertainment for sure.
I'm dreading the awful experience that someone out there is going to have where they like bought 4 copies, sent them to 3 of their friends, and then in the first 10 minutes they're like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. They're like, oh no.
Let's just play PUBG.
yeah. Let's play PUBG.
Fucking side note, man, Destiny 2 with 1.2 million concurrents upon release, dude. That is wild. So literally everybody is playing either PUBG or Destiny 2 right now.
I don't get it though, because like I saw some, and I'm not. We'll probably play Destiny. I won't speak for you guys. I'll probably play Destiny 2 when it comes to PC. I was like, I only see 2 kinds of posts about Destiny 2. One post is like, it's better than the original, but it still doesn't. I don't really get it. And the other kind of post is like, this has changed my life. It's like a religious experience, like a daily meditation. I have to sign in and play Destiny 2 and I have like tears streaming down my face. This first raid is like a pivotal moment in the gaming industry forever.
Oh, fuck.
And then they show a picture. They're like, check out what I got. I was like, it's a gun.
Yeah.
It's a gun with a purple background.
Yeah, it's got like, plus 100 diamond next to it. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm not shitting on your enjoyment. It's hard to sell it, I guess,
Well,
if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't help either that all of the synthesis items and names of important things are like light and really overly grandiose units that from the outside perspective, you don't know what they are. You're like, what is this pompous shit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone who plans to buy Destiny 2 on PC and play Destiny 1 on PS3 or 4.
Gotta
so
crack those
I'm-
angles, dog.
I'm in
I'm
already.
interested in checking out Destiny 2. I am afraid I'm going to just be bored by it because like it seems like an MMO minus the world exploration, and literally all it is dungeons and raids, and that's all you do.
I feel like
And-
that's what a lot of people want, though.
It's
But
Halo
that-
levels.
That's what I'm
That's what
saying.
it
Like,
is.
and I get that there is a huge audience for that.
Mhm.
For me, like I like the mix of being able to like explore a world and do silly things and enjoy like the lore, obviously, and nonsense and collectibles and silly things, and then go do dungeons and raids and stuff. But
Yeah.
the fact that Destiny seems like it is straight up just raids and dungeons, I feel like I'm gonna be bored quickly, and that makes me sad because I want a big MMO that's a first-person shooter.
It's really pretty, but I don't think it's an MMO.
Yeah, that's I have a hard time calling it MMO as well, but it is online multiplayer. That's kind of like what it is.
Kind of fits the bill, doesn't it?
Is it massive though?
It's massive.
It's massive, but it's
1.2
like
million massive, I'd say, right? Well,
massive in
I
size,
know,
scope,
yeah,
and people, but like the game itself, isn't it made up of just a bunch of levels? It's not like you free like roam around the world and then you decide to go to the north and fight the dungeon.
Yeah, that's
You
what
just
I want. Basically.
Click on a level and then everyone loads into the level and you fight through that level and then it ends.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that was kind of what Destiny was. So I assume Destiny 2 will be similar, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what people want.
People love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it's a lot more feature complete than Destiny Vanilla was on launch. So.
Yeah. So there you go. I've heard like you're saying people have had like religious experiences, but I've really heard the first raid is actually like pretty substantial. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's apparently like 6 hours long or something. So
I
that's
want to be honest with you.
Jesus.
yo.
This is a safe place. I don't know what a raid is.
A raid. So in terms of like World of Warcraft, think of it like this: a dungeon was 5 players going to a dungeon, fight bosses, get loot. A raid is 40 players going to a dungeon, fight bosses, get loot.
It's many parties grouped together
Yeah,
it's
instead
a
of one
big-
party of 5.
So it's like a big old event, you know, like a whole bunch of people
Okay.
getting together to do this really big, cool thing all at the same time. Mm-hmm. All right.
Is there a name for like a meta raid of many raids put together?
Oh,
A world event.
Oh, you're right.
yeah.
That is what that is. That was a joke, but he had the answer.
nice.
Well done.
Boost up your nerd cred, dude. Well
Yeah.
done.
That's it.
By the way,
Yeah.
any of that stuff that came across as negative, just get back to me in a month. I'll be addicted to Destiny 2. I know it's just
We
coming.
all will be, yeah.
No, like I'm planning on it. It's not going to be a problem. I'm just from the outside right now. I'm like, I don't know what light is.
That is the main character in Netflix's Death Note, which is the
Oh.
original, and I won't hear any criticisms. It's beautiful. It's a work of
Your
art.
anime cred just went up.
I was talking about the movie.
The Netflix movie,
The
which
Netflix
is
movie.
horrible, apparently.
Yeah.
Your understanding of anime-related properties has just gone up.
I've watched the series too, admittedly, so I've got a little bit of knowledge there. The movie's actually excruciatingly bad. I'm joking. It's pretty awful.
Talk to me about Zanpakuto.
What's Zanpakuto? What the hell is that?
It's everybody's swords in Bleach.
Okay.
No, let's get off it. Ryan's already exploding.
I'm going to go real quick to Lichtspeer. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because it is a little old, but Elise and I played the new Switch version, Lichtspeer Double Spear Edition, which contains a co-op mode, which adds a flying robot dachshund, which was pretty much like the best possible thing it could have been. And I'm very thrilled with it. So Lichtspeer, if you're not familiar, is a fast-paced, well, by their own definition, a fast-paced light spear throwing simulator, which is pretty descriptive. You end up, so it's you got levels with 5 stages per level, and you go through the stages by standing in a place and hurling light spears. And you adjust the arc and you adjust the power of the throw. but that is basically the entirety of the gameplay. But it's super addicting. The soundtrack is fantastic. The presentation is a little crazy, actually, and I wonder whether or not they actually like intended to make the backgrounds a little confusing for you, because I wanted to complain about it, but then I started thinking, oh, this might be by design. You know, like I think they tried to obscure like the arrows on the background just to make it a little bit more difficult, but I'm also just sort of not the biggest fan of that decision. But if you've already played the game, then you'll probably just want to know how the co-op works, and the answer is fantastically. It's just very easily implemented into the game. The dachshund just sort of flies above you most of the time, and then there's some levels where the dachshund will like go into a place you wouldn't expect, you know, like kind of in a different corner, and you guys have two very distinct angles to throw from to try to clear out the waves. So it's pretty damn good. I've been really enjoying it so far. It's got a it's pretty demanding, actually. So the thing about this is you would think, like, well, if you ever run into trouble, you just hurl a bunch of spears and hope things go well, right? But no, you can't do that. If you miss 3 spears in a row, it'll actually take away your spear for like 5 seconds, which in most cases will kill you. So you got to be really careful about it. The co-op has a similar feature there where if the co-op player throws 3 and misses, then you'll lose the spear as well. So that's also implemented there. And yeah, I mean, it's just pretty damn good, I gotta say. It's frustrating, though. Like, holy shit, it gets frustrating. There's some enemies that I don't want to exist anymore. There's this one dude who is a flying eyeball with, like, buzzsaws that go around him, and he comes in from the top right corner and is in your face in, like, 2 seconds. And you get, like, 2 opportunities to hit him in, like, this very tight window. Not to mention fish, which are assholes. All fish are assholes. But, yeah, there we go. It's Lichtspeer, Double Spear Edition on the Switch. It's real good. I recommend it. Questions, concerns, compliments? Anybody?
Is
You
it
did a great
like
job explaining it?
Thank you.
Is it a sequel or is it like a director's cut?
I'm pretty sure it's just a director's cut. Like, they added the co-op mode, and then it's just basically like Lichtspeer on the Switch, I believe.
Because I
There you go.
played
Spear.
I played Lichtspeer on PC, and I was like, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
enjoyed it.
probably not play it on Switch.
Me,
That's
either.
fair. The co-op is good. The co-op is
believe that.
enjoyable if you enjoy the game. There we go. Lichtspeer, if you're interested in the Steam version, is currently $10, and the Switch version, I believe, is $19.99. So, well, actually, let me double check on that real quick. Lichtspeer
I'll go back and
Switch.
play this in like another year, and then I'll bring it up another time. So I still
There
didn't
you
get
go.
around to it either.
Nice.
They sent me a code when it came out, and I was like, yeah, I want to play that.
Oh, it's actually only $10 on Switch. So there you go. Good deal.
Yeah,
All right. Talk to me about Maize, please, Nick.
I'll try.
Because wow, that's a weird looking game.
It's a really strange game, and actually, surprisingly, it fits thematically with the other game I talked about in that it's sort of a first-person puzzle exploration, like point and click.
Yeah, yeah.
That's too many genres, I just said. Yeah, so the premise is you start out in getting off a boat and approaching a cornfield, and you kind of walk through the cornfield for a little while, and then you see a desk, and on the desk is like an English muffin and a note, and it's like, welcome to the field, and like, I don't know, I don't remember what it says, but then
Yeah.
you walk around a little bit more, start finding a bunch of objects, start putting them together, and like solving some weird puzzles in the house. You don't really know what you're trying to accomplish. You're just like solving puzzles because you see puzzles. And I don't know how much I want to say because so much of the game is like comedy hidden under mystery. I guess I kind of like, you can tell the main premise of the game based on the trailers and stuff, right? That's not spoilers.
Yeah, like, so you're the little bear, right? You play as the little bear?
No, you don't play as the little bear. Little bear is a companion,
Okay.
but he's so angry.
Oh, is he?
He's the angriest little bear. His name is Vladdy, and he's Russian, and he's pissed off at everything, especially you.
Oh, no.
I don't even think he wants to like live, like he doesn't want to exist, but he does, so he's got to like put up with it for now until he can think of something better. But yeah, he's a companion, and there exists in this world sentient corn husks.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yep.
so you're walking around on this farm where I guess there's a secret laboratory installation underneath the farm where they created sentient corn husks.
Yep.
And you have to go figure out what's up with that.
Yep.
So there's about 3 hours of wandering around where you kind of don't understand what's happening. and then like a really funny last hour payoff to the whole joke. It's like about 4.5 hours long.
Okay.
It's
That's
a
palatable.
very pretty game, I have to say. It's very beautiful. The texture work on it is very nice. The modeling mostly well done. Some of the voiceover is like hit and miss. Some's good, some's iffy. I didn't find that the jokes mostly landed for the majority of the game, but I think it might just be me. I think I might have been being a little too cynical maybe at the time, and maybe other people find it more funny. But the ending, at least, grabbed me, and I was like, okay, that was worth it. So you got to put a lot of time in before you get to that point. And it's a lot of like, I don't understand what this item has to do with this. I'm going to click on all the things until it solves itself. So it's the bad stuff out of the like 3D point and click adventure
Like
style.
The old adventure stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And they do it pretty tongue in cheek. Like, I'm pretty sure they know that they're giving you impossible tasks. They just want you to have to deal with it.
Okay.
And they kind of explain it away in the story as well, but still, it's frustrating. I guess I'm thinking if there was like a part where there's about 5 red herrings, but they're only red herrings if you do them in the wrong order. Like, you've got to find all these objects and then assemble them in front of a computer camera scanner. And if you assemble them, it'll see a person's face and it'll be like, okay, you have access to this area now. But you have to know that when these objects are in your inventory, you have to bring them to a workbench to like draw a face on the balloon or whatever it was before you can reassemble it to put it in front of the camera. And until then, if you keep clicking on it, it just won't do anything.
Right.
So that stuff sucks. I hate that, personally.
Yeah.
If you could put up with some of those tropes, though, like the payoff is probably worth it. I thought it was funny at the end, but like it's a hard game to recommend because there's so much you got to get through to get to the good part.
I was gonna say, yeah, it really sounds like you're investing in that payoff almost exclusively.
And now that I've built it up so much, I don't even know if you'll enjoy it anymore because you'll be expecting it so much. But it is just an absurd game. It's really just a ludicrous bunch of stuff that happens during it. I have to give props to the developer because, like, to take this concept, which kind of ultimately all falls down to being one joke, like to make a 4-hour game with all of the effort and art and time that goes into that, that's seriously passion.
Kudos, yeah.
It's very silly.
So I don't know.
I don't know that I'd recommend it though, but it's very silly.
I don't know how fair this is, but if I had to make you choose, would you recommend Eyes of Ara or Maize today? If I
had to pick one, definitely Eyes of Ara over Maize.
Okay.
But I still respect them both.
Sure. Sweet. All right. That is Maize. Came out December 2016. $20 on Steam. Is that? I think that might only be on Steam. Actually, I don't know if that came out anywhere else.
I think so.
Let me check. Oh,
I'm so curious what Ryan would say if he had to play through that game, if he would hate every minute of it, or if he'd find a way to make it fun.
Everything you said made me want to die.
Okay.
Wait, particularly, and I'm not just trying to be dismissive, because like the game has good reviews on Steam, so
Yeah.
I assume that it appeals to an audience instead of just being trash. However, when you said that the game is 3 hours of wandering and then like a funny final act, I was like, I would never, ever see the final act.
Yeah.
Man, this is one of those games that had to beat out the SEO, dude, but luckily they managed to top Maize the grain on Google results, so kudos to them there, too.
Yeah. Not only is it all mostly walking, but almost all of the story is told through Post-it notes, too.
Oh,
like,
God,
literal
come on.
Post-it notes stuck to every surface.
That's the worst for me.
I just stopped reading them after a while. I was like, this isn't funny enough for me to keep reading these.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happier after I stopped.
All right, well, there you go. That's not... Well, I don't want to end it on that. I was happier after I stopped participating in the game's mechanics.
No, in the joke-telling Post-it notes.
Yeah.
The bear made it for me mostly. Like, he was pretty cute and funny.
Nice.
He's very slow, though, and, like, after a while, you just keep hearing his little feet going squeak, 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 squeak far away. And it's like, I kind of wish he didn't squeak as much, but he's a bear. I mean, he's allowed to squeak. I can't really be that mean.
That's right.
Also, he's like a literal walking parody of Banjo-Kazooie. They gave him a little, a grabber arm that sticks out of his backpack, and it's supposed to be the beak.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nice.
That's great.
Cute.
You can't have this pizza.
He's been all over you today, dude.
Let him go behind the computer.
No, never. You can't have the pizza, okay? Get in the box.
I don't want the box. I want to go behind the computer.
He
Maize...
just wants the pizza. Like, I have this pizza here. If I move it like over here, he's like, "Oh, what's going on with that?" Whoa.
Oh boy.
Let me just smell it for a second.
Maize is $20 on Steam right now.
I'm not giving him the pizza.
Don't do it. That's bad for
Ryan,
cats.
you should know Maize is a Canadian game.
Oh.
Well then, now we
If
might
that
have to
changes
know
your
that.
mind entirely, I just thought I'd mention it.
Hey, Mathis, tell me about Divinity Original Sin 2, please.
Sure. Divinity Original Sin 2 is the sequel to Divinity Original Sin, which came out in 2014 by Larian Studios. They've been making Divinity games for like 20 years, all different types of genres. Divinity Original Sin was their first like top-down CRPG. This is a sequel. Both were kickstarted. It's basically your typical CRPG where you make your own character. You can choose his history and his class, and or you can just build them from nothing and completely customize a class from the ground up if you want. And depending on your choices, will allow you to do different things in conversation or find secret things if your character would allow you to do that if you have the right talents. And it's multiplayer, 4-player co-op this time around as opposed to 2-player co-op. And it's pretty fun. What the best part about Divinity, I think, is its combat. It's turn-based strategy, kind of XCOM style, where you're managing action points, and the world is heavily interactive. So, say there's some enemies near a couple barrels of oil. Throw a rock spell to smash the barrels of oil, then cast an electricity spell to electrify the water that came out of the barrels of water and stuff. If it's oil or poison, you can like set it on fire with fire spells. There's just a lot of strategy and interactivity between all of the spells and combat and stuff. Later on, you can like buff your partners. So Ryan is playing like a melee class. I can maybe like electrify his sword as a wizard class, or give him like rock armor, and then just work all kinds of different combinations off of that.
Ryan's playing. Really, are you playing? You're a human warrior. Is that
I'm a
right?
human fighter.
A
Yeah.
human fighter. That's even more boring.
This shit makes me so mad. The barbarian / fighter is like a classic class and race combination.
In a game where you can play as a fucking skeleton?
If everybody's zany, nobody's zany. Mathis is already a skeleton mage. So what am I
Okay,
supposed to do?
I
I'm-
played
I'm-
Path of Exile with Rob and his girlfriend, and we all played as necromancers. We had like 70 zombies. It was fantastic.
No, it's like
Do it.
because it's like a D&D campaign sort of. I'm speaking like secondhand, but it's like a D&D campaign that they've curated. If we're all like, if we're both the zany, like, we can't both be Han Solo. Somebody's got to be Luke Skywalker so that there's conflict between the characters.
No,
if we're both
no.
just like, I'm a badass. No, I'm a badass.
Do
then
it.
Nobody's a badass.
Oh, do it.
Now that you've said it, all I want is episode 4 with every character as Han Solo. Please.
No, it'd be stupid.
It would
That
be great.
That would be great.
That's
be
fan
great.
service.
They would
That's
just
how
end
you
up
with,
jerking
like,
each off.
That's how you get to episode 1. Like,
That's kind of
Yeah,
how you
no.
get to like.
I'm gonna be a big ol' it's like a half lizard and he talks in a Jamaican patois for some
It
reason.
actually works, though. The Clone Wars, they clone Han Solo. There's fucking 300 of them in a warehouse somewhere. They find it, they let them loose, and then they take over everyone.
They clone the wait. What? They
They
clone
clone
Han
all the
Solo?
Han Solos. That's where he came. That what?
That's where Ham Solo came from.
Yeah.
Ham Solo. That's where he showed up.
I'm just saying the story could
Goddamn
work.
Han
They're already
Solo.
cloning people. Why not clone him?
True.
Yeah.
But Ryan's right in that like the game is like if you play as an undead character, the world hates undead for the most part, so a lot of your conversation options are limited.
yeah,
And, like,
that's why you need Brienne of Tarth to back you up.
You know what? Yeah,
a
I can see.
noble-born
What's
human soldier.
yeah, because like so your two tags were what? You picked noble soldier. Is that what it was?
Of noble birth, and I'm a soldier.
Yeah, and I picked like mystic outlaw. So the cool things is like during conversations and stuff, Ryan will be very goodly while my character's kind of a scumbag for the most part, and that can open up some interesting conversations. And what's interesting is that Ryan's character and my character will have moments where they just talk to each other, and we just pick dialogue trees that go back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
And it kind of like leads kind of like some character development between the two characters, which is bizarre. It's not a lot of CRPGs do that in a multiplayer sense, but Divinity does. It's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I'm interested to see how much Ryan is enjoying it 3 hours from now, 4
Yeah.
hours from now, once we leave like tutorial zone.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Divinity is that it's very sandboxy. Every single NPC you can just kill in the game. you don't ever have to talk to anybody. You can kill everybody and still do the main story quest. So, and you can just, some silly things you could do is like, I could sneak and steal a sword, put the sword on Ryan's, like in his backpack sneakily, have the guards check Ryan's backpack and have them imprison Ryan, and then have to go break Ryan out. Like stuff like that. Like you can do a lot of fun, silly things in Divinity. So I think.
Do you have like the freedom to take over a town if you felt like it?
You can kill everybody in the town. I don't know if maybe there's a storyline that'll let you become mayor, but if you just hate everybody, you can just murder everybody in town.
Let you become mayor of nothing.
Of nothing. You'd be like Littlefinger.
Yeah.
You just want to be the king of nothing as long as you're king.
Cool. Anything
What
else?
do you think so far of it, Ryan?
Dude, I've been having a great time, and I'm eager to get back to our session later today. I have like nothing negative to say, except for the fact that like it is going to take a million years.
We're really going to have to focus on like not doing every little side thing, basically, and try and push forward to the main story and do little side things as they show up and they seem interesting, but for the most part, ignore a lot of it because there's a lot in the game.
Yeah, like you could theoretically like pull up a bunch of barrels and then go fight some high-level frogs that just jump on you, and then you're like, hey, we should flee from combat. And Mathis is like, no, I want to do one attack. I got this. And then he does an attack, and we all die because the frogs are like 8 levels higher than us. Dude thought one lightning bolt was going to kill all the frogs that are like quadruple our level.
Tell me you can't kill frogs?
No, those frogs kicked our ass.
They were like lightning frogs.
Oh,
there was like
okay.
2 frogs that were shooting poison and 1 that was lightning, and they just destroyed us.
You got outnumbered.
Oh, I want to talk about. Sorry, one thing I want to talk about that Ryan hasn't checked out in Divinity is the game has a game master mode, a DM mode.
Oh, cool.
Where you can import your own maps and all this other stuff, and it's kind of like Roll20 Bear, where you can call for dice rolls whenever you want, and you can set up your own encounters and completely control it as the GM. It's actually incredibly intricate to the point where I think you could actually run a full D&D game with that tool set.
Wow.
It is really flexible and adds a nice little flair to just regular D&D combat. Granted, you're playing within the engine of Divinity, so you're using Divinity combat, which is action points instead of turns. But it is really in-depth. I was messing around with it a little bit yesterday, and it reminds me of early StarCraft's like custom map making, where you could do programming and stuff and like, put trigger events on the map and stuff. It's really in-depth. The GM mode in Divinity 2 is great.
Awesome. That's really cool. I didn't expect them to have a feature like that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be in the game either until yesterday, and it's really good. Yeah, people saying Neverwinter Nights had a feature like that, and it was pretty great. Yeah, think of it like the Neverwinter Nights. I think it's more powerful than the Neverwinter Nights one, but it's they're both good.
Say that 5 times fast.
Neverwinter Nights, Neverwinter Nights, Neverwinter Nights, Neverwinter Nights.
Oh, you almost got it. There you go. Nice.
There you go.
Well done. All right, Divinity Original Sin 2, $45 on Steam right now. There you go. And I'll go ahead and take the reins here. Cook So Delicious 2. This came out a couple of days ago, and damn, it's pretty similar. Cook So Delicious 1, if you are unfamiliar, was a restaurant sim from 2013, 2014, something like that. That was super fun, I thought, anyway. Very intense game, though. It requires a lot of focus. You gotta be mindful of a lot of different things at the same time. You've got the orders that will show up on the left side of your screen, and when you fill the orders, you have to input sequences of keys depending on what the food is. So, for example, with lasagna, you'll have to put in layers of the food depending on what it is. Like, you'd have to do pasta, sauce, cheese, then rigatoni? Is that the pasta noodle? Regatta.
The cheese is the regatta.
Whatever it is. The ingredients.
Think of lasagna noodles.
You got to put them all in the correct order, and then it'll show you like the recipes. The recipes will change depending on what the customer orders. So yeah, that's the gist of it. With Cook So Delicious 2, what they've changed primarily are they've taken a couple of things out. First of all, if you play the first game, you're probably familiar with like the campaign system. You're probably familiar with the way that you would upgrade your foods as you went along, and none of that is really part of it anymore. You still have the tower, like the main campaign that you progress through. However, the focus has kind of changed to unlocking new foods, not necessarily leveling them up, and there's not really much of a campaign to speak of anymore either. There's not really like a story or anything. You're just sort of building up your restaurant, making more money, and unlocking more foods, and then being able to serve more people, et cetera, et cetera. There's also a new Chef for Hire mode, which is interesting. It puts you in all these different restaurants with different themes, and it gives you these custom-made menus, and you have to fulfill certain requirements in different restaurants in order to proceed there. So those are interesting new developments as well. One of the biggest changes they made from the first to the second game is, I say they, but it's mostly one guy. He added holding stations to Cook Serve Delicious 2, which is a really interesting new development that wasn't in the first one, where you can prep certain foods ahead of time and put them up in the holding stations on the top of the screen, and you can have those available through the course of the day while also still fulfilling orders on the left side. So there's quite a bit more to manage that in that regard. And there's also a small change he made with the actual recipes. He included pages, which are they separate the different kinds of ingredients, I suppose, that you would put into things by category, or like by order in which you would apply them. So I'm trying to think of like a good example. I think like the pizza, you would put like you put like the dough down first, and then the cheese, and then you go to the next page, and that would be like all the toppings, and then the next page after that would be like the finishing touches and stuff like that. So it's pretty damn solid, I gotta say. How are you enjoying it so far, Ryan?
Now that I'm not going to talk about the buzz bug that was in.
Oh, yeah.
Now that they've patched that, it's actually playable, and I think that the game is really good. But I can't shake the feeling that this is like version 0.9. I know that the campaign, as compared to Cook Serve Delicious 1, feels very like loose and kind of aimless, because there used to be in Cook Serve Delicious 1, you would like do a day, and then you would get an email from somebody, and they'd be like, hey, great job, like this is how you did today, and here's what you should try to do tomorrow,
right,
and stuff like that. In this, it's really just you do the day and things change, and then it's like day 2. Like I can't tell why my buzz is going up and down based on like my menu selection, because in Cook Serve Delicious 1, it was like if something stayed on the menu too long, then people would be like, I don't really want Salisbury steak anymore, I want to get lasagna instead. So like Cook Serve Delicious 2 fixes that problem by having like 12 or 13 preset menus that you can actually choose from, and you fill them out yourself, and then you just switch like day 1, day 2, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't really see, as of right now, I don't see why, because it seems like the buzz still gets so high that I could just keep Salisbury steak on the menu forever, and then when 9 a.m. rolls around, there's like 8 people want Salisbury steak right off the bat. So I think that stuff, he said he was going to take extra care to like hotfix that post-release, which is why I sort of feel that it's a little like
pushed out
0.90 right. Yeah,
sure.
The campaign, as far as I'm concerned, needs a little bit more direction in order to almost have like an extrinsic reward and series of guidance, instead of just like, I want to play the game, because the game is fun. And Kate and I played I played like 3 hours, and Kate and I played another hour of local co-op on her show. But I don't care about the restaurant for hire stuff. Like, I'm much more interested in building my own kind of reputation and restaurant that's
right
under my own direction, instead of just like, today you're going to make like 80 hot dogs. But I just wish it had a little bit more on that side. But then apart from that, like, I think it's really good. It's one of those games where like the criticisms are really nitpicky, because the actual like gameplay is still so solid. Like when you get into that zone where you have 8 orders come in and you just do them, and you don't even know that you're doing them, because you have this muscle memory that's just banging out these like macros essentially over and over.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. So I think it definitely still nails that. Just a little bit of like the meta game being a little bit more engaging is, I think, the next step to make it like really, really good.
Yeah, I'm with you there for sure. I kind of miss the old campaign, honestly, in the sense of progression there. And I don't know why he took out the menu. I don't remember what he called it, like the stale menu items affecting your buzz. I don't think that actually exists anymore, and I kind of wish it did, because like otherwise, like you said, there's not really a lot of incentive to change your menu out, because if you got something that's working for you, you might as well keep doing it.
Right. It's like Mario Party, man. He's giving you all the mini games, but none of the substance underneath.
No, what I want to see is like an XCOM level meta strategy part, where maybe you build up a restaurant and you try to build it in one specific theme centered around a bunch of specific recipes, and then you do well in that restaurant, you establish it, and then you can basically hire people to run it for you, and you go and you build another restaurant with a different theme,
and I have more money to spend.
Oh, yeah.
It lets you expand, sort of like a cookie clicker kind of thing.
That'd
where
be
you iterate on that concept, and you still get to play at the micro level as well, primarily.
Yeah.
It just gives you sort of a shell layer to work within to give you more reason to play the game centered around different recipes. I think that would do it for me to make me really into it.
No, I really like that idea, actually. That'd be pretty cool.
If you just slap like any sort of like management simulation layer onto a game, I'm mostly going to enjoy it more. Like, just give me some sort of management simulation thing to play with between like the game, and I feel like I have more control and it's more satisfying.
Yeah, and that it's lacking right now in that. Honestly, it really is. Like, there's not a lot going on outside of the gameplay itself, but really the gameplay itself is so strong that it's honestly maybe even worth playing for that alone. Like, it's so much fun to play this game, and like Ryan was saying, you get to this point where, like, I was explaining it to my chat how I get into this zone where I have like 4 or 5 things queued up in my brain of what I'm gonna do, but I'm not even like cognizant of it. I'm just doing it, and it's just completely in the zen of that experience that I have the best time. So
it's gonna sound stupid, but I was playing it last night on stream, and it had the same thing with the first game. It really does a good job of making me feel like I'm in the weeds at work again.
Oh,
It really brings me back to that, like, I have to actively remind myself, like, if you mess up an order, it doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Because once you have a million things, I feel like it's rush hour in a restaurant and I have like 6 tables going, and it makes you feel like I'm back in the weeds again. It does a really good job at that. When you hear that rush hour noise, you're like, okay, here we go.
I've never actually worked in a restaurant, but I was going to say the same thing about GameStop. It feels like when you need to really quickly manipulate the POS to get the information, give them the thing they want, and make them go away, which when you do it really well, feels amazingly gratifying. And that muscle memory part is like, you feel like you're good at your job. And this isn't even a real job.
Yeah.
So, like, make a GameStop version of it. That would be fun. I want to live that more.
You know, it's like a trash and mash, like for Cooks Are Delicious. You got to have that mini game, but it's like trying to sell Game Informer subscriptions. Like, you keep mashing it until they say yes, and
ram it down their throat.
Why do you have to mash the trash? Doesn't you have a trash compactor?
Oh, you got to mash that trash, dude.
You got to mash the trash,
You throw it
man.
in the dumpster, so like the first bags you throw in go in fine, but the ones after that, you got to mash them down.
All right.
Yeah. Cooks Are Delicious too. It's I've got to agree with your assertion there of 0.9 or V.9 as well, because it needs a little work at the moment. And Chubbigans, the developer on Twitter, has also acknowledged that he's still working on a few things and it's not quite as done as he would have liked. But
he
I
fixed
name
the buzz.
my restaurant, man.
He fixed the buzz bug in like less than 24
oh
hours.
yeah, he's been on it, dude. Like, he tweeted the other day that you're falling asleep at his keyboard trying to get all this stuff done. So.
He's also like, I'm not gonna sleep until I do this update, and I'm like,
go to bed.
Cut that out. It's not worth it, dude. It's a game.
Does he do the art? Because the art's like really good.
I don't think so.
He had somebody else do the art, but like the art's been pouring in for like 2 years or something like that on Twitter at least.
It's hard to do food art, right? And that art is like really solid.
Oh, it looks so good.
Props.
Amazing.
It looks delicious.
It's really easy
delicious.
to just make it look like you don't want to go near that and put it near your mouth kind of art for food, but like none of that has that problem in this.
Yeah, if you like good-looking food, I unironically tell this to my chat when I'm playing this, is you got to eat before you watch or play this game, because you're gonna want to once you start watching it. Yeah. So there's I'm trying to remember. I thought I had something else to say about it.
Let me name my restaurant. That's all I want.
Oh yeah, name the restaurant. That'd be cool. You can customize your restaurant as well. You unlock tons of stuff. You unlock like these lights, these art
it's
fixtures.
got a loot box.
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Yeah, every time you level up, you get a bunch of loot boxes that give you like stuff to decorate your restaurant with.
It's not.
I will never remove that picture of the sad man on the subway from my restaurant, though. He will always be in there.
The cat in the hot dog costume.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's another good one.
I unlocked adorable photos of kitties and puppies, and I literally covered my wall with them. So that's my
dude. The
decor.
loot boxes are so bad.
Yeah.
And I say that from a place of love, but the feeling, like, because 99% of the time it's like wall, like a new kind of lamp, and I'm like, do not care. But when it goes like, oh, and then I'm like, I'm gonna get a new food item. It's like prime rib, and I'm like, that's like a stat track knife.
Oh, that's how they do the upgrades. Okay.
Exactly. And you get money from like complete
you can
missions
buy them.
that you can just buy them if you want.
When I
you get a lot, by the way. It's not like Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
It's something like that. Like
Twitch chat, it's not paid for. It's
No,
not
free.
He said Loot Crate,
no.
and I knew that was gonna like trigger a bunch of people. No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's not a big deal.
No, literally like you level up and the game's just like, here's 8 free things to open. There's no way to buy in the loot boxes.
Right.
God, I had like this one point I kept wanting to make, and I keep forgetting about it. But
Are the challenges still a thing, like the Iron Chef kind of things that they add as like a secondary option to
not
play?
that I've seen. No, it's pretty much mostly the campaign and the cook for hire stuff at the moment.
I think like the levels, the Chef for Hire stuff gets harder as you go, but I don't know if there's like an Iron Chef challenge or anything like that.
I did the final stage of Max Wieners the other day, which was pretty intense. I think we had like 8 holding stations and 9 serving stations or something like that. It gets pretty wild. So I'm digging it, man. It's a good time. I've liked what I've played, and I'm definitely going to be playing some more. It's $13. Cook Serve Delicious 2s on Steam right now, and that's going to take us into the final segment of Ask Roundtable. Everybody's favorite segment is coming to an end. I apologize, but it must be done. Ask Roundtable, the weekly segment where you used to send in your questions to roundtableyt@gmail.com. And we do our best to answer them. This week's question is a reflective one. Comes from TJ, one of our patrons over on patreon.com/roundtable. TJ, thank you, buddy, for your continued support. He asks, well, first of all, he does say congratulations on 100 episodes, and thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate you being here for it. His question is a look back at how far the show has come. What's your favorite episode, favorite moments thus far? He's also challenged Ryan to try to sing Three Doors Down's song Kryptonite for episode 100's Nick's Weird Game theme song. So thank you for that suggestion as well, TJ. Let's look back. I'll start it off. I'm probably going to take this one from a lot of you guys, but I got to say, far and away, I think my favorite episode we've done is the Edmund episode 69. That was such a fun time.
I love that that's the good one. It gets to be on 69.
Yeah, exactly. I love how it worked out. That was just such a great open format, and it was a lot of fun to talk to him about all that stuff, and learned a lot about the dude, which was really cool for me personally as well, and it was just a great episode, I felt. Lots of good times. You guys got any fond memories you want to share? This is so fun, isn't it? I love it.
The one where Ryan found the Markiplier email.
Oh, that was great.
That was super good.
Mm-hmm. That was.
I mean, that was kind of the highlight of the episode. I can't actually remember what else happened on that episode, but that moment
that was like episode 4 or something, I think. It was a long time ago.
I'm sure someone will dig it up. But the fact that that happened dynamically and it was all real and it was like we weren't just making that shit up. It was real. Just happening in front of us.
It was great.
Silly times.
Any particular favorites? Ruka throwing up was
a really good one,
pretty
too.
wild. Always good. That's, this has been a great show. Top 3 highlight. Remember when your cat threw up on you? Oh, boy.
We got 2 and a vomit.
I'm writing the song, okay?
That's fair. You got any, Mathis?
I'm trying to think of I think Edmund is probably my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
We've had some great guests though, man.
I was thinking just back to the first few episodes and the wildly different facial hairs that we all had.
Oh yeah.
Bear just had the weird chin thing going. Ryan was super close to the camera. I remember that. Ryan was he was
he's back
right there.
Every single episode he's backed up a quarter of an inch. We never noticed, but he's been doing it steadily the entire time.
Yep. Let's see. Yes, guys, I get it. Edmund's episode is the one I confessed to the stuff.
I forgot.
That's all Chad keeps saying. Remember when Mathis confessed? Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember
that. Was great.
This is a lot of little things. I'm the one disappointing thing I will say is that we never hit 50,000 to get my ass off the show.
Forever scar upon the show's history.
It's only Chad. Chad says fuck Mathis, but it's your fault that I'm here.
Yeah.
So.
We gave you the incentive.
You have the option.
Mm-hmm. It was right there. Well,
and
every time we talked about No Man's Sky, there you go.
Oh yeah, man, that one day.
That's like a top 20.
I'm glad we
all of those
decided
times.
to hyper concentrate that discussion into one show. I'm glad we didn't space
Yeah.
that out too long. That would have
I just
grown
blame
stale.
Sean Murray for elongating the trauma of No Man's Sky to like a month-long thing.
You know,
Let's
his own
let's
fault.
blame Sean Murray. Nobody's done that yet. We got to take a unique stance on it. Ryan, you got anything off the top of your dome piece? You just love being here, right?
Tomo punching me in the face was pretty good.
That was
That
pretty
also
good, yeah.
super good. Yelling at my cats to shut up. I thought I muted my mic.
When you thought you were being robbed.
Yeah.
You remember that
I
day?
was being
That was pretty
Yeah.
fun. Oh boy.
so another
time-
Mathis came to take your Mathis loot away.
That time that you left because you thought you were being robbed, and you came back and told us about that lady who leaves all the fast food on the front.
All right, so just for that, I reported her, and for like they sent her a note or whatever, and it stopped for a long time. The past like few days, I've had food on my lawn all over again. She's like started Oreo cookies,
What?
a box of empty cigarettes, noodles again. I don't understand.
That's a waste of Oreo cookies.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to do.
It's no fries. Luckily, now it's
A
just
box
noodles.
of empty cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's environmental
ridiculous.
storytelling is what it is. I
The
actually
top,
saw
the
that
top
one.
of a croissant, like a top half of a croissant on my lawn.
That's very odd.
I gotta kick that stuff off because ants will swarm that stuff if I don't get rid of it.
Good on you for looking out for the community, man. All right.
Stupid lady.
Well, hey, TJ, thank you for the question, but thank you for Ask Roundtable questions for the last 100 episodes. We're still kind of figuring out the odds and ends of what we're going to do at the end of the show here, but for the most part, the format of the show has basically stayed the same for the entirety, so not much going to be changing, but I think Ask Roundtable has kind of run its course, so thank you guys very much for sending the questions all that time. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for participating in the show. It's been a lot of fun. I'm thinking I'm gonna try to do some sort of like audience incorporation segment still at the end, but I'll figure it out. I trust future me to deal with that.
So, like, while writing the song here, I was also like reading my emails. This is not the platform for this, but if you're like emailing for some kind of like partnership, sponsorship thing, just fucking stop saying, "Hey, big fan of your channel. I've been watching you for a long time."
Yeah.
Nobody buys it.
The worst one is like, "Hey, love your channel, especially
this
Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, episode 347." The line or whatever.
Someone really made the channel right there.
Right
I
there.
got an email. It was
She
like,
must watch, clearly.
it was like, "Hey, Northern Lion," like all caps.
Yeah.
As a big fan of strategy fantasy RPGs, I've liked your channel for a long time. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like the most artificial start to a pitch. The pitch should start, "Hey, we have a product. I've never spoken to you in my goddamn life. I have no idea who you are because there's 10,000 YouTubers that are all doing like similar shit. But like your demographics look good. We could work together on this." Here's
Dude,
the
if
deal.
somebody opened an email like that, regardless of what it was, I would be
I
interested.
would read it.
Yeah.
I would read the whole thing, and I'd be like, kudos for being honest. I was like, I'm not gonna out the site, but they work with like 100,000 YouTubers, so you could probably narrow it down. Like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of your channel." No, you're not. If you watched one video a year from all these channels, it would take 18 human lifetimes stacked front to back.
It really doesn't take much to come across as genuine. Just like don't get your copy printed out from some sort of automated list, right?
Yeah.
Like
Don't
just write
insert.
something that a real person would write to a person.
Don't put a line of code that pulls their latest upload and puts it in the email.
$sign first name.
I mean, you joke, but that has actually happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
The code has not actually converted into the proper thing.
All right. Anyway, thank you very much for your question, TJ. Appreciate it, everybody, for the questions for Ask Roundtable. It's been a lot of fun. Let's do everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment, which is also coming to a close for the much more obvious reason of Nick is out of games. So
I'm not sad about I'm not happy about Nick's Weird Games ending. But
yeah,
I am happy about not writing the songs anymore.
that's fair. Well, as our send off here, we have a request again from TJ, Three Doors Down's Kryptonite for the Nick's Weird Games theme, the final one. Let's hear it.
just remember this song has a verse as well as a chorus. So you're going to hear the start of it and you're going to be like, this isn't Kryptonite. Well, if you want a 4-second long Nixweird game, we could do that. But there is a chorus, so it starts. Sorry. So you can give me like a, you call me strong, you call me. Yeah, okay, that's more like it. Is the game bad as we have feared? Well, it might not be, but it's weird. And it reminds me of all of the games that made me frown. From PS2 or IL2, forgotten junk, Atari poo. He reads the box, but I don't like the way it sounds. If I sing Nick's Weird Games, can we get one not from Japan? If I do a good job, could I guess the game? I guess I can. He'll keep you in his sights with his super weirdo games. Nick's Weird Games.
Woo! So good.
The end.
So good. It's
The
just
end
beautiful.
of an era.
Well done.
Man.
Yeah, we'll have to make like a DVD release or like a CD release
Oh,
of the top,
God, please. That
top
would
12
be-
tracks
That would be great.
throughout the ages.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody assemble a list of the best Nick's Weird Games theme songs, please. I'd love to see
Honestly, that one's on there. Like,
That was pretty good.
like, that one makes like the top 10.
I'm glad
over
you.
the Home Improvement.
Oh, yeah.
6 words.
There's
one.
room for the whole thing. All right, I got one more weird game for you guys. Close your chats.
Close the chats. It's Nick's Weird Games. I don't know
Here
if
we go.
it's time to explain it. I guess it's time.
Yeah.
It's the final time to explain it.
You
It's-
just caught it.
Yeah.
just in time.
Everybody.
So I pulled a weird game out of my shelf, and I'm going to tell you about it.
Mhm.
And if you can guess what it is, then you win. And that's that.
Yep.
And I hope this is a fitting ending game. I did my best to choose one that at least has some sort of narrative, I guess, to it. You'll see
Undertale.
what I mean in a minute. Well, all right. So today's game was developed by Creative Reality and Coyote Developments on PS1. It was also released on Microsoft Windows circa 2000. It's a single-player survival horror game, and it was published by, did I say Talonsoft and Take-Two Interactive? I might have already said that.
think
The
you did.
gameplay is very similar to Resident Evil, third-person perspective, fixed camera angles, tank controls, and instead of item boxes, you have something called vac tubes, and you find colored key cards. All right, let's see if anybody got it yet already.
I'm trying to run through my like PS1 era, like survival horror games. Obviously, you have Resident Evil. It's not going to be Parasite Eve because it's not weird enough. I was thinking Galarians, but I don't think it's Galarians.
Oh, that's
is
a
it?
game.
Yeah, it's not Galarians.
That actually got it already, by the way. That's
Did
incredible.
Did they already? Holy shit.
PS1 era survival horror. I'm not too brushed up on.
Oh, it takes place in June 2019.
Ooh, almost there.
So, yeah, the future at the time, 20 years in the future. And we're nearly there. Did I say it's sci-fi? Yeah, sci-fi themed sort of horror.
Can I get the console again?
Yeah, it's
PS1,
on
PC.
Windows and PS1.
Is it Messiah?
No, actually. Do I know what that is? That sounds familiar.
You play as baby Jesus going around and like scaring people.
Oh, no, that's not that. Okay, I got to be very careful again, so I don't want to give away too much.
Mm-hmm.
Interactive music score delivers a dark, macabre experience. Spine-tingling action-adventure. 3-member team. Exploring the derelict Vita base. And then you finally confront the appalling secret hidden deep underground. This is off the back of the box.
Appalling.
Appalling.
I think I tapped out, dude.
Yeah, you got me.
Selective
idea.
control of 3 specialized characters. Also, it actually functions like GTA 5, working as remote members of the same team.
Huh.
Game designed, script, and dialogue written by the acclaimed science fiction writer Stephen Marley.
Stephen Marley. The Stephen
Rated
Marley?
M for mature for blood and gore and violence.
Nope.
I got it,
me,
man.
fam.
Yeah, you're good.
No idea. No idea.
We're stumped.
Any other guesses?
The final one, we're stumped.
Character names: Kenzo Uji, Martin Karn, Diane Matlock.
Matlock.
pop, lock it, and drop it.
Was one of the numerous budget titles that came out towards the end of the PlayStation lifespan.
Wasn't Matlock like a show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Creative Reality's last game. Scores were generally middling. It looks like 64-ish out of 100 on the Metacritic.
I'm done.
We tapped out?
I got nothing, dude.
All right. Well, I was hoping that you'd maybe get it because I know you've thrown this name out here a couple of times in the past, Ryan. It was Martian Gothic.
Oh!
And I had to wait just the right amount of
Dude.
time to pull this in so you wouldn't think of it because you said it recently.
That makes sense. Dude,
But
I
this
totally remember the box art.
That
This
is
the one
freaky,
that I wanted to
man.
use. It's a freaky picture, yeah.
3 dudes in one space helmet. It must be crowded in there.
Very crowded. Jax the Wanderer nailed it first in chat.
Nice.
So props. Yeah, so that's what I meant when I said is continuing the narrative, because I know that Ryan wanted a game to be this game, and I never chose it intentionally because he knew it was coming.
It's like that
So-
and Galarians. They were basically my 2 go-tos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trick was to wait until he didn't expect it and try and pull it out, because it was sitting in my freaking cabinet all this time. But I had to use it. Yeah, there
hell
it is.
yeah,
Martian
dude.
Gothic Unification, the end.
Good one.
Thank you for
Good
playing
one.
Nick's Weird Games.
Thank you
It's been
for doing
however
Nick's
many.
Weird Games, man.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we came up with the segment completely on a whim. I think we were like 5 minutes before we went live, and it's like, what if I pull a game out and you guys guess what it is? And you're like, yeah, I like that idea.
Well, I
And then
mean,
we did it like 70 times.
5 minutes before we went live. It was back in the pre-recorded days, man. That was back when we didn't even have to worry about this
that's right.
audience.
Oh, we
Forgot
did not.
that,
It was
yeah.
on Twitch. I forgot about that.
Old school shit. I was editing all these episodes, man. It took up like the entirety of my Friday, which is mostly why we did this. So it's a lot easier.
You're like, you know what? Live is easier.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Nick's Weird Games. The conclusion. It's been real. It's been a good time.
The end.
Yep. And well, consarn it, wouldn't you know it? That brings us to the conclusion of episode 100 of Roundtable Live. Holy cow. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the show over the last, 2.5 years, and hopefully we can go for 2.5 more, and that is it! Hard line at 5 years. No more beyond that. But thank you very much for being here all the same. We really, really appreciate it. And I want to give an honest-to-God just plea at this point. If you want to keep the show going, the best way to do that, patreon.com/roundtable. If you've enjoyed the show over the last 100 episodes or so, and you feel like supporting us just even a little bit, $3, $4, $5 a month on patreon.com/roundtable will go a long way. If we could even just get like 1% of the listening audience of the show to get over there and do that right now, that would be fantastic. So please, if you've got the spare few bucks a month, do consider supporting the show that way. It is pretty much exclusively via Patreon and subscriptions on Twitch that we keep the show funded. So thank you very much for doing that. We want to thank the subscribers over on Twitch as well from today. That includes BRD Wizard, Moo, Fala Pro Site, Kodak, Hastrubal, Special Cornflake, Yummy, Professor Plumbus, Perfect Hunter, Svalpnils, and M. Breslin, as well as Sand Spice. Thank you for the cheer as well, buddy. Appreciate that a lot. And we want to say thank you to our Patreons over there on patreon.com/roundtable. Thank you very much to Julian Avelsgaard, Jonathan Graham, Scotty119, Ricky Grist, James Peed, Peter Sinnison, Ellis Spice, John Kalchik, O. Thomas Games BR, With a Dance Number, Jakar Sampson, Kolnar Sanoa, Joseph Boss, Penn Gillette, Michael Bush Larson, Toxawall, TJ Majesty, thank you for the question today as well. Chaos, your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it, Theorist. He didn't get to the end. I thought he was going to, but he didn't quite make it by episode 100. I'm sure he'll keep going, though. Colby Klein, Greenlight, Oren Saltzman, Eric Schooley, Brizzlebrit, Positron, Myth Scarab, Mediocrities, Justin, Smurfette, Logan Ray. Thank you for keeping your support alive over on patreon.com. Damn it. I was doing so well. Patreon.com/roundtable. Thank you for the support. Thank you for watching episode 100, and we will be back next week. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Later.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.